We're live.
We're live, but I think PTUK is like just finishing up, maybe. So,
Hi, everybody.
give them a minute.
Hello.
Greetings.
Yeah, we don't want to butt in on the PTUK guys.
No, they've got a big butt.
Yeah.
Be uncomfortable for someone. One of us. Not sure who.
Hello, everybody. Tim. Hello, Tim Van Ram. Justin Beaver Husson. Kelly.
Wait, Tim Van Ram's here?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's not
Tim Van Ram.
here.
Well, it's an unusual day for us. It's a Friday afternoon, right?
Well, that's true.
It is. Stephen Ivy.
Hello, Stephen
No
Ivy.
audio. Stephen, we do have audio.
Yes,
Hello.
we do.
You don't have audio for some reason. We don't know why.
Lane Street's an interesting name because they're both places you'd walk along, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go for a stroll down the lane, go for a drive down the street.
Never mind.
Christina Mendel, thank you. Actually, I saw an airplane named Mendel when I was doing my plane tale. It was a privately owned Aerocobra called Miss Mendel, I think.
Did somebody say Justin Beaverhausen is here?
Nice beaver.
Yeah. Hausen.
Let's see.
David Hooper.
David Hooper.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm just looking at the Coffee Fund names, and David Hooper is on that list.
Oh, great.
That was last show.
Well, thank you anyway.
Come on, David. Send us more. No, I'm just kidding.
Some idiot called Airline Pilot Guy.
Oh, wait a minute.
Never heard of them.
That's me.
Plain Talking UK. We're running to time and now wrapping up.
Sweet.
Carlos says, we have just finished. Over to you guys now. Thanks, Carlos, for that handoff. We'll take it from here in a minute or two or 15.
Oh, really? Liz tells me that Mike Carroll's is going to be broadcasting Flying and Life later.
Oh, you can just have all your podcasts today.
Yeah.
Yeah, only one evening.
Aviation podcast
Hope
Nirvana.
Set aside. Was it like Aviation Podcast Day or something?
It is International Aviation Podcast Day.
Yeah.
Let's
I think we should
put a crate of beer in the fridge.
Fridge.
What am I looking for?
I've got a little mobile fridge beside me.
Yeah.
With a few
like
nice
a cooler
ales. Yeah, it's a cold bag. Definitely. Oh, mobile fridge.
I think I have that. And let's look at Patreon. We're almost ready. Just hang on. I just got back home from training today. And some people are not trainable.
Captain Nick.
I'm not anymore. I'm not. I used to be trainable. Now it's not worth trying anymore.
Okay.
Try to be trainable, but varying degrees of success with that sometimes.
Yeah, they took my trainer wheels off and I promptly fell over.
Dope.
Dope. Yes.
Hello, John Jester from Incheon.
John Jester. Hello.
How's Incheon? Captain Nigel used to spend a lot of time there because he was flying for Korean, and they used to fly him up there, and he'd do 20 solid days or something. Then they'd send him home for a break, but he spent most of the time sitting at Incheon.
Please stand by.
Stand by.
Affiliate stations, stand by. Running a few minutes late.
Just getting word. Standing by. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
APG had one ear, PTUK talking over a delayed APG in the other. Help.
Oh, are they? Hey, are they putting our stream?
I think
up?
they put our stream on their show.
Didn't we
Hi,
go over this
PTUK.
before?
I think so.
The lawyers.
Apparently,
the lawyers haven't contacted them.
Well.
Oh, well, they will. Just keep running it, guys. Keep running it.
Okay, we do have.
We want those royalties.
Yep, the cash register is pinging up.
Rick Barnes. Is Rick Barnes in the chat room?
I haven't seen him.
Okay, because he is a new patron.
Oh, lovely.
Today's October 9th, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Still October 9th.
Thanks.
Have you got the latest watch yet? iWatch yet?
No, mine's coming in November, apparently.
Mine's
okay.
coming in a.
Although they just opened the
week,
Apple
I
Store.
think.
I should just cancel that and just go buy it at the
Oh.
Apple Store now that I can go into
Do
the
they
Apple
have
Store.
them?
Yeah.
They did, apparently, because I talked to
Oh.
someone at my work who went into the store the day they opened and purchased one,
Oh,
the new ones. But that's
Wow.
fine. I can wait. I don't need a new watch right this second. I'll get mine in
No.
November. It'll be an early Christmas gift to myself. I got a blue one. Different.
oh, neat.
Yeah.
Blue aluminum.
Blue aluminum. Yeah.
I got a just a regular silver aluminum one
Mhm.
with the what do you call it? The
The braided band.
No, no, I
Oh,
got the
the-
solo band on the band, which they say that aren't fitting people because people
Well,
aren't fitting
measuring
themselves
correctly. Well, I got one of those too, and I don't know if I measured myself correctly because I measured 3 different times and had 3 different numbers. So
Well, I did it exactly the way.
I figured if it's
printed it
wrong,
out and everything,
I'll just
and
put this band on it because this one
Yeah.
it's fine, and I'll just go
Yeah.
return
I
it
just
and
have a
get it.
custom band that I
Yeah.
ordered a leather one from Germany.
This was one of the Germany. This was one of the new ones, but it's just a Velcro-y
Oh yeah.
I
sport
got
band.
one a bit like that, except it's metal with a magnet. So
Ah, very nice.
infinitely adjustable.
So I got the new one because it has the blood ox functionality.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
And I got it with this one doesn't have the cellular antenna, but the one that I just ordered. That,
I like having the
hopefully-
cellular option.
Yeah, and because I didn't realize I'd need it, but when I go out on walks, it's nice to not have the phone.
Yes. Well, I do that especially for runs if I'm on call.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to take my phone with me. I could take a quick phone call.
Let's see. Lane says, was going to buy myself one, then remembered I don't do Apple. Oh,
Oh,
I'm sure
man.
Apple is.
What
They're
a shame.
very, very unhappy.
Heartbroken. Yes.
Yeah.
I just realized because I used to do a lot of gaming, and of course I can't game on these Macs. They're useless for gaming.
Yeah, you do need a PC for those things
Yeah, I do
usually.
need a PC. So if I had room, I'd have a gaming chair and I'd make myself a new PC. But I haven't got room.
Well, just get rid of all that home studio stuff. Then you have plenty of room.
Yeah, I would actually. Yes, I would. Yeah.
Okay. Where is
Not going to do that.
You guys are distracting me. Just wanted you to know.
By the way, this week's Plain Tale is a little critical of some American airplanes. But don't worry.
We're shocked to hear that.
What, Nick? You'd be critical of anything having to do with America?
But don't worry. I shall even the balance next week.
Thank
I
you
don't
for
know.
that.
Is that?
With a few useless British airplanes.
I don't know. What do you think, HR? Should we make the decision to just to go ahead and pull the PT for this week?
I've already.
Cut the Plain Tale. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to play it
um,
so he thinks that we've played it, but then it's just going to not appear.
I
in
might
the-
point out that it was an American who suggested I do a Plain Tale on these aircraft.
What traitor American are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Well, he's
Which
Benedict
Jewish and he
Arnold are you?
comes from Maine.
Ah,
Are they still part of the United States? I don't know.
I don't, not anymore.
nope. Speaking of things, we've just like Maine, just
Yeah, Maine just
right at the
fell
border
off.
there with,
Yeah.
Yeah, part of Canada.
New Hampshire.
Sorry, Canada.
They're all yours now. Good luck.
Uh,
Oh, we're just kidding, Matt.
They're
Micah.
basically Canada. There's like moose and things up
Pretty
there. I
much.
don't really know. It's cold.
Well, funny old thing. The British bought some of these airplanes, and they called them the Caribou. So
Ooh.
Oh, the C7?
no, the P-66 Aero Cobra.
Oh yeah, that.
This is World War II.
Oh. Okay. Different caribou.
Don't worry, it's not modern airplanes. It's not Boeing.
Well, I don't know anything about modern airplanes.
I mean, what have you been doing all week?
In your job, that's a positive advantage.
Actually, it's much today was much better. Much better because the guy was speaking my language. I went, like light bulbs were going over my head. I get it. He goes, yeah. Get back under the bus, Micah.
Yeah. Well, it's actually on the Plain Tale, Micah. I credit you. So
boy.
I can't re-record it now. It's all a bit late.
We definitely
So,
can't hear it.
Yeah. So just to be clear, are Nick, are you on the Airline Pilot Guy show or the PTUK? Which one?
Both, probably.
Right now, probably both.
Right at this moment,
All of us.
both. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Do I have that? I have that. I have that. I think. Oh, record. Yeah. Thank you. Recorder is going. I'm even going to get my handy dandy thing.
Do you want my recorder going?
Yeah.
I've got mine ready to go.
I'm thinking next. Oh, input device. Why isn't that? It's showing it's not working, but it is working.
Wow.
The bad thing about using this thing is that every time I do this, the lights go off, and then
Do you have a clapper?
and then it
Clap
goes
on.
on. No,
Clap off. Clap
but it would be
on,
funny if I did.
Clap.
It would.
Yeah, I have fallen, and no, I can't.
No, can't
well,
get
never
up.
mind. Oh, that's what she said.
Ooh. That's
I've
not what
walked
you want.
myself right into that one. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're welcome.
I've fallen and I can't get it up. That was Liz, not me. I was just repeating. Okay. Are we oh here, let me get the thing where I can see. Oh, it looks like you all already. Okay. APG
Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't start my recorder.
Oh.
Okay. It's recording.
APG my nut's loose. It's kind of personal, sorry. APG 446 in 3, 2, 1.
Someone was
I was
really
a little
slow
behind there. I was slow. I'm sorry.
I like a little behind.
Wow. You're off to a good start today.
HR,
I
make
know
a
I
note
haven't
of
even
that.
had a drop of alcohol. Yeah.
Jeez.
Can we have that as
Maybe
a
we
show
should fix-
title, please?
I like a little behind.
I'm terrified for what you might use as artwork there, Nick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yes.
Oh, not the photos, the unofficial. Never mind. Okay.
No, we don't use those anymore. We don't even talk
Lane
about
thinks
those anymore.
Jeff's
okay?
loose nuts. I'll
That's
do that.
that's another quality candidate
show
right there,
title.
Lane.
Oop,
Ding.
we have a winner there. Okay, let's see. Let's check the sound and see if I have this set up correctly. Roger.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
Good. Good volume.
Okay,
and all
in
that?
England.
Okay.
Okay, in South Kakalaki.
Okay.
Where is this?
Would you spell
place?
that for me? Because I need to put that in the show.
I think I
notes.
have it on. Oh, I don't have a.
South-
Oh, I do. I have a
Kakalaki? Is that what you said?
Kakalaki. Yeah.
Huh?
It's spelled Cackalaki. Kakalaki.
Kakalaki.
You never heard that before for the
Very
Carolinas?
impressive. Almost as nice as Kalamazoo.
Never?
Kakalaki.
There's-
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know very much.
Sorry.
So
But your level of knowledge is increasing the whole
You
time.
learned something today.
Yeah, you
did.
must have done.
That's the only thing actually I learned today. Okay. I think we should do the show.
Good idea.
Okay. Okay, Liz, stop yelling at me. Well, as far as they know, they think you are. Okay. Oh, wait. One more thing. Sorry. Hang on. Let me do this. What was that? Did you hear that? Anybody?
No. My stomach growled, and then you said something, but I was on mute.
No, it was like
So
a
I hope
weird-
you didn't
it
hear
was a
my
weird
stomach
sound
growling
effect that I've
through-
never heard before.
Oh.
And I went,
No.
what's that? I think it's something that I did, but I'm not sure. Okay, here we go.
You're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. The view from our side of the cockpit door.
WAPG. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Airline Pilot Guy, episode 446.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the Airline Pilot Guy.
Hello, you're listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show, the view from our side of the cockpit door, with your host, Captain Jeff, broadcasting live from Studio 1A at APG headquarters in Roswell, Georgia. Today's show was recorded on the 9th of October, 2020.
Yeah, he's up in the sky. It's the airline pilot guy. Picture light and he's flying by. The airline pilot guy.
In today's episode, a Cessna crashes on the Isle of Man trying to avoid hitting a horse. A fatal crash in New York with a seaplane hitting a concrete pier. More news, your feedback, and today's plane tale you couldn't give them away. So get all settled in, tray tables and seat backs in the upright and locked positions. Electronic devices powered on. I'm Radio Roger, and Flight 446 is ready for pushback.
Thank you, Radio Roger, an award-winning TV and radio reporter currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins in New York City. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news, or pretty recent anyway, and answering your great feedback. And I'm Captain Jeff, a pilot at a major legacy airline based in Atlanta, Georgia. And joining me today from her lakeside studio in South Kakalaki, doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, strength training junkie, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument rated backstabbing jumper dumper, Dr. Steph.
Just gets better and better with every iteration of that introduction. I really like where it's at now, so we should keep that. Great to see you, Captain Jeff. Glad to be here. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you as well. And also joining us from way across the pond, from a studio in the English countryside, he is a professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired captain for an international airline based in London. It's Captain Nick.
Good evening, Jeff. Good evening, Steph. It's lovely. It's Poets' Day today, isn't it?
Yes.
You
Thought it
don't
was
have Poets' Day.
International Aviation
Asian
Podcast Day.
Podcasting Extravaganza Day.
Well, it's also Poets' Day.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll have to tell us more about that.
You don't have Poets' Day? Oh, Poets' Day is piss off early tomorrow, Saturday.
Oh, in that case.
That's pretty clever. Yes.
Yes.
There we go. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get on with the news.
Stand by for news.
All right. The first item in our news notebook is, this was in from Fabian, not our good friend Fabian in Germany, but this one from Brazil. And this is a piece of news from Brazil. According to the fire department, oh, wait, I guess I should read the headline. 2 are injured after plane crashes against airport fence in Bragança, Paulista, São Paulo.
Nailed it.
I don't know, SP? What is SP?
Yeah, I was
Paulo.
assuming this
It's near Sao
São
Paulo.
Paulo.
piece
Okay.
of news was in there just because of the location.
I think so. And I just realized as I was reading this, thinking, I have no idea.
You know what?
How to
Should we find
pronounce
out
that.
where that is?
Yeah,
Okay.
what is a C with a squiggle under it anyway?
I don't know. It's
In
weird.
French, it makes it a soft, or like a S sound, but I don't know what it does in
Bragança.
Portuguese. I don't know.
Okay. Well, do we have anybody that speaks Portuguese on the staff? No. Nobody's
No.
answering.
No. Sorry.
That's probably because I can't speak Portuguese. They don't know. All right. Liz, are you working on it? Oh, she's on
It's
the
a
phone right now.
municipality in the state of Sao Paulo. Sao
Okay.
Paulo, if I can say that right.
That would have been easier to say. A municipality. Anyway, according to the fire department, the accident occurred while the aircraft was trying to take off. 2 people were injured after a plane crashed in the fence at this place at around 5 p.m. on Thursday the 1st. According to the fire department, the accident... I just read that. Was trying to take off, failed, and hit the fence at the end of the runway. The occupants were rescued and taken to the city hospital by people who were at the scene. According to firefighters, they had minor injuries. Military police teams acted on the scene. I'm not sure what they acted but I'm sure it was a great
A little bit of
musical.
Shakespeare, I expect.
Oh, it's Shakespeare.
Something
okay.
classical, yes.
Something classical. Okay. Something appropriate for the situation. According to the VOA SP network, which manages the airport, the accident occurred shortly after the aircraft left the ground. The plane had not yet retracted the landing gear when the pilot lost control and crashed into the rail next to the runway.
To be clear, I was not laughing at the accident or incident. I was laughing at the journalist's telling of how it occurred.
And it crashed into the rail next to the runway. So in this case, train was a factor. According to the... Thank you. I'm here all week.
More's the pity.
Yeah. According to the registration of the aircraft with the National Civil Aviation Agency, ANAC, the plane is a twin-engine manufactured in 1967 and with regular authorization from the agency. The Regional Aeronautical Accident Investigation and Prevention Service.
It's very French sounding for some reason.
Seripa, I know, I'm not sure what that accent is, will investigate the cause of the accident. The airport was temporarily closed for the investigation and handling of the case as determined by the investigation procedure. Well, we have some pictures here. I don't know. Have you been showing those, Liz, at all?
She
There we
has.
go. Okay. Very cool. No, just one. There is a picture. I have two in my show notes. If you want to look at more pictures from a different angle, just check out the show notes. There you go.
Considering the number of concrete lumps, things, spars holding up the fence posts, that's the thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, that thing.
They were lucky not to collect one, actually.
Oh, yeah. And looks like the propellers are they're bent very well.
Yes.
They're very badly bent.
Yeah.
Probably.
Most of it's pretty badly bent. by the looks
Yeah,
of it.
it probably wasn't a very fun ride after it left the runway.
And got airborne.
Yeah. Really not. But I don't know what else to say about this.
No idea why, of course, but
No, they didn't give any clues at all. Anyway, Fabian, that's just in from the newsroom, is part of the Kleber Fabian Blues Trio.
oh, great!
Isn't that nice?
Perhaps he could
needs
recorded
to-
some music.
Yeah, you need to record some great trio stuff and send it to us, and then we can play it on the show.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for letting us know what's happening down there in Sao Paulo, Fabian. We do appreciate it. Continuing on. Another small plane crashes. Now, Liz, you'll get ready with these photos when I tell you. All right. This is Ivor sent this in, so it's always a suspect. I saw this on the BBC. Oh, yeah, I should play that, shouldn't I? I don't know where that is. Yeah, I'll add it in post. I saw this on the BBC News app and thought you should see it. And apparently a light aircraft crashed on the Isle of Man. Go ahead, Liz, you can show that. After aborting a landing to avoid a horse, an accident report revealed. And I'm looking at the photo and there's no horse in sight. The only thing I see is, yeah, Liz, go ahead. Yep, a unicorn.
Very majestic.
Well, it was probably
I would
Harry Potter doing
avoided
one of
hitting
his
that, too.
Expelliarmus spells, was it?
Yeah, well, you know what? That would be very distracting if I saw a unicorn
would,
out there
yeah.
in the middle of a field.
Very true.
It was a Cessna 182 RG. RG stands for retractable gear. Right, Steph?
It does. Ding.
Overturned after hitting a farm fence before landing upside down in a field next to the Mount Rule airstrip in Braddon? How, Nick? How do I pronounce that?
I would guess Braddon,
Okay.
but I don't know the place. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's right. You're not from the Isle of Man, are you?
No.
Never mind. The pilot earlier saw the Isle of Pilot, according to Liz. The pilot earlier saw a horse appear near the end of the runway and aborted the attempt. The Air Accidents
So
Investigation
it
Brief
was a
said-
magical horse. It just appeared.
I know.
And then
That
disappeared.
would
Very
And then
upset
disappeared.
most pilots, actually.
It was airborne as it reached the end of the runway. The horse?
Oh,
or
the horse.
I'm telling you, it's a unicorn.
Obviously, the unicorn.
It's a flying unicorn.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Pegasus, the flying unicorn. I'm sure there's something wrong there.
The horse was outside the boundary of the airstrip, but it was not clear to the pilot at the time of the 13 March landing. So it really wasn't even on the airstrip. Oops. Pilot told investigators the aircraft did not accelerate or climb as expected as he attempted to take off again. The pilot and his passenger were not injured and managed to free themselves from the aircraft before the fire service arrived. The report noted that the pilot had 300 hours of experience flying that type of aircraft, but had not previously landed on the grass airstrip at Mount Rule, though the passenger had. He completed 3 circuits of the area to familiarize himself with the runway.
I'm just
Circuits
trying to work out
without
the
landing?
relevance of the passenger's experience.
I don't know. Was the passenger an instructor? That might be relevant.
Oh, yeah, it could be. They overlooked that point. A video taken by, we don't have the video. A video taken by an onlooker showed the plane touching down, and it was still on the ground and just over 100 meters from the end of the runway when the footage ended. The plane
Well,
had
apparently
been
that
flown
footage
from,
doesn't show anything.
I guess not, yeah. Maybe that's why it's not included. But they did have a picture of that unicorn. That's a nice thing. Yeah. Actually, I added that. Okay.
Oh, go on.
I know. Can you believe it? Thank you, Ivor, for that very entertaining piece of news. And, you look at the picture of the airplane upside down, it's really kind of a miracle they didn't get injured in that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
made a mess of it there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think...
Sorry, I was just going to say, does this disprove our theory that you can always go around?
Yes.
I guess there's
Yes.
some
There are
technicalities.
some exceptions.
There are limits to
Yes.
the song.
Yeah. Fine print, Liz says.
Yeah.
Fine, you got to read the fine print. Yeah. If you listen to the audio only podcast, we always put a disclaimer in there about the always. You can't always go around, but most of the time you can. Let's see. The next item here. I think, Liz, I have some video that goes with that. Okay. While you're getting that, don't play it yet, but just get ready. This was a final report of a Piper PA-28 and Robinson R-22 helicopter collision. A private pilot in a fixed-wing airplane was landing at the airport following a personal flight, and a flight instructor and a pilot receiving instruction were conducting a flight review in a helicopter and practicing maneuvers in the airport traffic pattern. The instructor reported that he or the pilot receiving instruction made radio calls on the Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, we call it CTAF, before each turn in the pattern. When the helicopter was 1 mile from the runway, the pilot receiving instruction turned the helicopter on a final approach. After completing a steep approach, the pilot receiving instruction brought the helicopter into a hover about 15 feet above the runway threshold. The airplane pilot stated that he heard a heavy buzzing sound on the CTAF like a helicopter rotor and a barely distinguishable word. He scanned for traffic and declared being on downwind. The airplane pilot quickly turned to the base leg of the traffic pattern and then proceeded to land. The airplane then struck the helicopter from behind as the airplane landed on the same runway as the helicopter. And now, saying it landed on the runway is kind of a stretch. Go ahead, Liz. Play it. Okay, here's the footage, and that's quite a landing. Let's see it again. It's going to play again. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have told you that, Liz. It's a loop.
Yikes.
And there, boom.
That's not a loop. That's a
Well,
crash.
that's more like a aileron roll. Very close to the ground. So here we go again. Boom, hits the helicopter.
Ouch.
And yeah, the wing on the left wing folded as it hit the runway. Spectacular piece of video footage. If you want to watch it yourself, make sure you check out the show notes, and I'll have a link to it there. What do you think about that? Looks like
it was a nice day and see and avoid. That's what I think about it. Mostly.
But yeah, he didn't avoid. He didn't
I
even know
know.
the helicopter was there.
Didn't know it was there.
Right before he hit it, I guess. Yeah, so, CTAF system, there's not a operating control tower and ATC specialists to sort things out. You're on your own out there, and that's it's interesting, isn't it, Steph? You do a lot of flying into fields that don't have operating towers.
Most of the flying I do is at airfields that do not have towers. So, yeah, there's always that, we talk about that element of situational awareness. The tricky part is, most uncontrolled fields, especially if people are doing pattern work or something like that, or coming in or out of that area, will talk on the CTAF and at least let you know their intentions, sometimes more frequently than not. But at least you can build that mental picture of where everyone is and what they're doing, what they're trying to do. It's a little trickier when people are transiting an area over a smaller airfield and might not be on the right frequency, because then you really don't know they're there. I will say that ADS-B technology has made that a lot better, a lot more comfortable, but you still have to be careful. So if it's VFR conditions, you got to be eyes outside and looking at what's going on around you.
Yeah, this happened in 2017, so that was before the
mandate on the ADS-B.
mandate on the you're right though. Having that information available to know where other
it's huge.
airplanes are.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I see airplanes on the screen within reasonable proximity that you never hear from, and they're within they're at least close enough to the airfield that a traffic call or a radio call would have been probably a reasonable idea, just to say, hey, passing 2 miles west of the
What she means
field,
is that
transiting
it should be
south to
required.
north.
It is required.
Yeah, well, and also you got to be on the right frequency. You got to be looking at what frequency that airport is using. So I don't know, just be, if you're out there flying around, be aware of where you are, what you're doing, where you're going, who might be out there with you, because it's important.
It is. It very much
I like the
is.
bit where it says, given that the airplane struck the helicopter from behind, it's unlikely the helicopter pilots were in a position to see and take action. Yes.
Right.
Fair enough.
Now, Kelly in the live audience says, whoops, that's not the one I wanted to show. This one right here. I wonder why the bystander ran toward the plane, not the helo. Well,
I don't know where he
one,
was really running to.
It looks like it might be one of those instances of perspective as far as where the video is being shot and the the field of view or whatever. What is that called again, Nick? I always forget it.
Perspective or
Well, it's foreshortening.
Foreshortening.
Or,
yeah,
distortion,
that might be part of it.
whatever you want to.
The other is that the helicopter itself, it kind of just turned to the left and basically landed straight
Right
up
side
and
up.
down. Yeah, right side up. So the reason why, if he were running toward the airplane, it was, if you watch the video, it's very dramatically evident that there's likely to be maybe some injuries in that airplane because the thing just flipped upside down. So yeah.
Just making a point about the CFI and the helicopter not establishing situational awareness, but the analysis indicates that the pilot of the aircraft was probably not making sufficient transmissions. So it says, thus, given the airplane pilot's transmissions were not heard, it's likely that he did not adequately transmit the airplane's position while in the traffic pattern. As to ban helicopters, it's just well, that's a different subject entirely. But I have a certain sympathy for you. But I'm assuming that helicopters make approaches onto runways for a good reason. But why you'd want to hang around once you've come to a hover, that escapes me, don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've done flying at an airport that does helicopter instruction a couple of times, and typically they try to stay, they'll do approaches down the runway and things like that, but then they'll be on the taxiway. They have their own designated area at that particular airport for where they're going to do hover training and things like that. So it's not in conflict, hopefully, because it's an otherwise pretty busy airport as well, and uncontrolled. Or no, I should say, no control tower.
Yeah.
Classy airport.
Well,
But if you're the helicopter CFI and you're trying to demonstrate something that requires the presence of the runway under you, whether it be an aspect indication or just using it for reference or whatever, if you're listening out on the frequency and you're not hearing anyone on the approach, I think it's fairly safe to say, well, no one else is making an approach. I'm sitting here. I'll make use of the runway while I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That seems like
It's
it
reasonable.
might be reasonable. Yeah. And
You expect to be seen in broad daylight, though. Usually,
That's
is
true.
the other part of it.
Yeah.
And we try to be reasonable on the show. We
sometimes.
don't always succeed,
Sometimes.
but we try.
50%.
Yeah. 50% of the time, we're pretty darn reasonable.
Yeah.
All right. Moving to item D. And this is an accident that occurred in New York City. That was sent in by Radio Roger, who does cover the news there in New York City. And a woman has died, and 2 other people, including the pilot, have been hospitalized in critical condition when a small plane crashed onto a concrete pier in the Queens borough of New York City on Sunday afternoon, the New York Fire Department said. They tweeted Sunday night that crews remained at the pier where the single-engine airplane crashed around 3 p.m. local time. FDNY said witnesses reported seeing the plane traveling rather fast along the water, skipped twice, and hit the pier. Officials said there was no explosion or fuel hazard. FDNY said the investigation into the crash will be handed over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the New York Police Department. Identities of the victims were not immediately released. They said the pilot is a resident of Queens, and he may have been trying to land. Nobody on the ground was hurt in the accident. And this is a float plane. What kind is a 182, I think, Steph? Is that what we're looking at? Yeah, 182P Skyline.
Yeah. Sorry, I was not on the pictures there.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Sorry. 182p.
Yeah, let's see. Witnesses told CBS News New York that they heard a loud boom. We thought it was a truck crash or something. And then my cousins, ... we came outside and saw the plane. I guess you just fill in the blank there, what they said after cousins. It sounded like a tractor trailer going through my room, another person said. Apparently they have a lot of tractor trailer trucks around there, using that to describe the sound of the crash.
Yeah.
And a Good Samaritan was out there on a jet ski. He helped the passengers and was able to pull 2 people from the wreckage. So there we are, 3 seriously injured passengers, but I guess one of them succumbed to their injuries. And
At least one. I think maybe
or maybe more.
one more as well. Because looking
Okay.
down just at the actual accident report from
Okay.
Flight Safety Foundation.
Oh yeah,
there's 2
it
fatalities.
says. Yeah, you're right. Well, that's no good. I guess, Steph, do you have a float plane rating?
I do. I do.
Is it? So
don't know
what
what-
are the hazards there involved in landing in that's kind of condition?
So I don't know entirely what happened in this situation. It was a landing attempt, but they were still traveling very fast near the pier. I mean, I've seen the pictures after impact here, and they were definitely traveling very quickly.
Very coupled up.
Yeah. So, just like any other landing, so you want to be on your airspeed, you want to be on it. Depending on the type of water condition too, that makes a difference for your references for landing. So smooth surface versus rough surface versus, and just making sure that if you're landing into the wind, downwind, all that type of stuff for speed. But there was something else that happened here, I think, because I know this, I've seen some reports that this pilot was, I think, based there and very familiar with the area, often flying multiple times a day. So I don't know exactly what caused him to be traveling at such high rate of speed near the pier. I'm not sure.
Of course, that was a witness report, and maybe they're just not used to seeing airplanes that close. Or...
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I think there was some other factors at play here that I don't know.
Steph, once you've touched down on a float plane, how quickly does it decelerate?
Pretty quickly if you don't have any power in.
Yeah.
If you keep power up,
So-
then you can get back on the step and keep taxiing at pretty high rate of speed. But if if you've got the power all the way back, it's going to slow down pretty quickly on the surface of the water.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, if you're floating and you're a bit fast and you're floating and you're trying to get the airplane down, you might say, "Oh, I can do this. I can get it on the water, and we'll stop pretty quick." But
That's possible. Yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But then you don't, and
They were
Then you
like
don't.
aiming right at the pier or something and thinking they were going to stop.
Yeah,
I don't
Could
or
be.
perhaps distraction. I don't know.
distraction or trying to avoid something else that was, we just saw someone avoiding a horse on a grass strip. There's boats and
true.
other watercraft and things. And if someone was in their way last minute and they tried to go around, but I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not sure.
Yes, Liz, it could have been flying fish in the way.
Definitely the flying fish.
Okay. Yeah. Not really sure. A lot of things could have been a factor here.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. So
Oh, this is good advice from Dr. Dan. You don't power slide in a float plane. Bad idea. Obviously, this man has experience with that. Thank you, Dr. Dan. All right. Let's move on. Item E. And why did somebody think I wasn't able to pronounce this name? Liz is just trying to be helpful, she says. I would have said it's pronounced Kelowna. And, I'm right. Okay. Kelowna flight cut short after it took off with concrete tie down attached.
I would have pronounced it wrong. So,
Would you?
yeah,
What
probably.
would you have said?
I don't know now that the pronunciation is there, but I don't think I would have said that.
This was sent in by a couple of our APG community members, Chris and Ian. And this is from infotel.ca. The source of the article is from Canada, so we're going to be a little skeptical. Just kidding. Kelowna is in Canada. Do you think
that explains why he took off with the concrete block attached?
So? I wonder if they have any kind of fragrances there, like maybe Kelowna cologne. Yeah. Okay. A Beech 76 4-seater aircraft, similar to one in the photo, had to cut its flight short after departing from Kelowna International Airport because it had some unwanted cargo. And
this is like, you've seen people who fill up their car with gas and then forget to remove the pump.
Oh yeah,
from
drag,
and it like yanks it off of the. Yeah. Oops.
A Southern Interior Flight Center Beech 76 had just departed Kelowna's airport's runway 16 on Monday, October 5th, and was airborne when the tower noticed the aircraft still had a tie-down rope and a cement block attached to its tail. It's just not really performing like it normally does.
Do you hear something odd going down the...
But it's a great advert
roll.
for the aircraft, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it did. Yeah,
we
it
can
performed
fly
well.
with concrete blocks tied to us. So, yeah, get one of these airplanes.
The pilot was advised, and without delay, made a crosswind turn in order to make a downwind landing on runway 16, stating on the radio, "You don't think anybody saw me, did you? Do you?" Unfortunately, the trailing cement block shattered upon impact with the runway, forcing a cleanup of the runway before further traffic could land or take off.
Which took 10 minutes. I mean, that's really an important thing to put in this article.
Yeah, it was a big concrete block. It took some time. Thankfully, the aircraft wasn't damaged. Only the pilot's what's the word?
Pride.
Yes, only the pilot's pride was injured, and the airport was able to resume normal operations. Wow.
Well, I think it's a really good advert for this airplane.
It is.
Yeah. I'd try it next time with one on either wing. That would be good.
Liz is
Balance
wondering
it out
what
a
he
little
put in his logbook. Remember that time?
You make a little note, on the side, like remarks.
Blockhead.
Cement block tie down.
Yeah.
Test flight.
Pre-flight. Missed that one.
Should do better next time. Pay more attention.
More thorough pre-flighting.
But you've heard this before, haven't you, Steph, where people have taken off with the tow bar attached?
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, the tow bar for a GA airplane is
gonna be
not like the tow bar on an airliner.
No.
It's you'd probably notice that. Well, maybe
My
not.
first flying job, I stopped my boss from taxiing out and taking off with a tow bar on his Cessna twin. I don't know what it was, 410, Cessna 410, sounds about right.
Or yeah.
He never even said thank you.
Really?
What
Nah.
a jerk.
What a jerk. Yeah.
I mean, it would have presumably jammed up the undercarriage doors.
Mhm.
Because
You saved his life, potentially.
you didn't
That's
seem
what I
to
would
think
say.
that.
Yeah.
He was a Kiwi as well. Mean.
There you go.
Explains it.
Explains it.
We're just out to see
mean
how many
Kiwi.
different nationalities we can offend in one show.
We're pretty on track for most of the
Most
nationalities.
of
I'm
them.
sure we
Yeah.
can get to at least 50%.
Okay.
That's what we're shooting for.
Always our aim.
It's always our aim. All right. Let's see. Oh, now here's an interesting one. So, there are a lot of, with the COVID and, the effects of it and people losing their jobs and that kind of thing, including pilots. A lot of pilots are being furloughed, etc. And down in Australia, let's see, the headline of this is Pilot Scheme. Planes may be grounded, but there's work in Australia. And there's a little bit of a video here. Let's see, Liz, can you go ahead and play the video? Let's see while I continue. Okay. Whoa. Hang on. Wait. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
What was that?
I'm just going to say there's some very good-looking pilots in Australia.
Wow.
Well, I suppose that there's work in that field as well.
It's a hot country, so I guess you don't have to
Fewer
wear a lot of clothes when
Yeah,
you're
fewer
flying. Is
clothes.
that right?
Yeah, I think that was the wrong video, Liz. I guess that was one of Liz's personal videos.
Sorry about that.
Whew,
It's getting hot in
yeah,
here.
it's warm here now, definitely. Warm in Australia, warm.
Yeah, actually, what did you say, Liz? Talk about down under.
Very good.
That's a good one. All right. Let me start this one over. The cabin of a harvester in the middle of a vast wheat field might be a strange place to find an airline pilot at work. But for Andrew King, it all makes sense. King worked as a passenger jet pilot for Hainan Airlines,
Yeah.
but has been on leave without pay since the pandemic hit in February. Now, several factors have combined to create a surprising opportunity in literally a new field. Coronavirus restrictions have reduced the number of backpackers available to help bring in what is promising to be a bumper harvest. And is that the name of the video that you're in your personal collection? Bumper harvest.
That's why there was a little mix up there.
Now we know why. There's a mix-up.
Easy mistake. I understand.
Bump and grind harvest. Okay, and pilots have turned out to have the right set of skills to fill the gap. Ooh.
Gets worse and worse.
That's what the article says. I did not make that one up. It just happens to fit in perfectly, actually. Matt Stewart. Ooh, I did it again. Matt Stewart of Whitaker Stewart Harvest and Haulage has hired King to work up and down the East Coast through the summer.
I can't.
I'm sorry.
To be clear, what is this profession we're
They're
discussing
working on
here?
a farm.
A farm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think the next sentence really says it all. We wouldn't have thought about it in a million years, but we saw that they were a really good fit.
Well, how about this one? If they can fly a plane, I'm sure they can drive.
What the gentleman's trying to say is, if they can fly a plane, I'm sure they can drive a header. Whatever.
I'm glad that you can speak, Nick, because I've lost that capacity.
Oh, dear.
I'll finish it if you want.
Please.
King found out about farming jobs targeting pilots on a Facebook group called Pilots for Harvest 2020, where farmers and aviation staff are encouraged to link up.
What more can you say? It's like Tinder.
Yeah, it was set up by farmer Amanda Thomas, who saw an opportunity in the bleak outlook for the aviation industry. It's the fact that we don't have the backpackers and that air travel has shut down, so we've got this big crop. So it's these three things have come together for a bit of a perfect storm, Thomas says. I was having a think about what are the areas and industries that we could tap into, and it just seemed like a logical choice. King says he is eager for the challenge.
Hey.
They've recognized the transferability of the skill set of an airline pilot, someone who could operate heavy equipment and learn large amounts of information quickly and remain proficient.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the change in scenery.
Oh,
I'm
I
looking forward
bet
to
he
the
is.
camaraderie with other people doing it. just it. The group has more than 800 members. Ooh. As the industry
Jeff, stop it. Jeff's gonna have a
I know, I
hernia.
can't even keep it. I'm sorry, folks. The group has more than 800 members as the industry heads into the harvesting season, and Thomas thinks it will keep growing as farmers and pilots bring their friends into the conversation.
I'm sure they'll throw their keys in a pot in the middle.
It's quite New South Wales based, but it's starting to spread to Victoria and Western Australia, who will be in dire need of help soon. Oh boy. In
They're screaming out for skilled workers.
in the wettest winter since 2016 has dragged much of New South Wales out of a drought and led to a 300% year-on-year increase in the winter harvest, which usually includes wheat, barley, and canola. The shortage in the skilled labor has affected the entire industry with a lack of fruit pickers in Western Australia,
And nut
leading
pickers as
to
well.
leading the state government to launch a much-mocked advertising campaign aimed at getting young people to help farmers. Other suggestions to bolster the workforce have included raising the level of the job seeker payment for those who go to help with the harvest or offering refugees a path to permanent residency. The government is due to announce incentives in the budget for those on job seeker or youth allowance to work on farms. So it goes on for quite a bit more.
Yeah, it does. If you want to read the
idea.
entire article, we'll have it in the show notes.
Any pictures?
Well, there's that mix-up. So
Liz says she'll put a link to her video as well. Show notes. Oh my. Yeah. So it's a good. I can't even say it anymore. It's very creative.
it's a nice
use of their
exchange
skills. Yeah. So I thought that was a.
Yeah, I think the point is pilots have a lot of transferable skills into many areas,
Yes.
many occupations you wouldn't have previously thought of.
Yes. So true.
Hillel would like to know how one becomes a refugee from the U.S. and Australia to apply for these jobs.
Not sure about that.
Well, it only costs a palm £10, so
All right. I think it's best for us to move on now.
Yes, quickly.
Liz, there's a picture associated with this one. Not yet, though. I think you know the timing on it. Okay. This was sent in by a few of you. Landon is the one that we're reading here. It says, Acme to retire the Boeing 717 by 2025. Every airplane Jeff touches, it dies. Yep. They call me
Captain Death.
I mean, this has to be the artwork for
Jeff
the show.
Grim Reaper.
It's already done.
Yeah, true. Yes, it is true that every airplane that I touch, the only exception being the T-38, is still out there flying, but it'll soon also be gone. And the airplane that I'm now training to fly on is slated for early retirement. But I think, based on what I've heard so far from my friends over at Delta Airlines, that it will be flying until, I think, in late 2025. So if I were flying for that company, I would be able to retire on that airplane. It's very similar to
Excellent.
Acme. Let's see.
Great timing, I think.
Yeah,
Timing is everything.
it is.
Yeah.
And they're getting rid of the 717-200s, the 767-300 ERs by December of 2025. Meanwhile, the CRJ-200s will be retired by December of 2023. That's
Woohoo!
when
Sorry.
Captain Jeff at Acme
Aren't
will
they
be
fairly
retiring.
new?
Pardon?
Aren't those CRJs reasonably new?
No, not the 200s. I think
Oh, okay.
most of the 200s are older. Right,
Okay.
Steph?
I don't know, but listeners will know that it's not my favorite aircraft to
Yeah,
ride
so
on
you
as a
don't
passenger.
care.
So I am
So you're happy.
very excited about this retirement announcement.
Well, this is from simpleflying.com. And one of the, let me read this part of the article. Delta Airlines has 91 Boeing 717-200s in its fleet. At the end of the second quarter of 2020, the airline only owned 13 of these aircraft, meaning the rest were on lease. These planes have an average age of just under 19 years, making them a little old for short haul workhorses. And I'm thinking, yeah, this person doesn't really know much about DC-9s and the fact that they have like the highest or one of the highest cycles as far as, operating them forever and ever and ever. And much more so than a lot of airplanes out there.
You must
that
be
have
thinking about plastic Airbuses.
Well, or not necessarily. I mean, there are some other metal fuselage airplanes that just don't, you don't get that many cycles out of. So I don't think that's really why they are getting rid of them. They're just not going to be as economical to operate as some of the newer options out there. So anyway, if you want to read the rest of the article, at least this one about that, it's from simplifying.com, and it'll be in the show notes. All right. And then, pardon? Oh, when you said not least, I thought you meant Leased, and I thought maybe I forgot something in the article. Okay. Last but not least, item H here. Samad, S-A-M-A-D, or SAMAD Aerospace unveils luxury Q Starling personal air vehicle. And I think Nick and I were talking a little bit about this on the last episode, that we were looking at this news item. Maybe we were talking about it off camera, but it's a British company making a British hybrid electric VTOL aircraft. And Liz is putting some of the pictures up now. And where's the part of the article that talks about the fact that it has a big fan to do its...
It says like Q Starling will be powered by a hybrid electric turbo generator, which will provide power for a large diameter hover fan and a fly-by-wire controlled reaction control system.
Yes. Now we're looking at the artist's renditions of said airplane. I don't see a big, large diameter fan.
I found one eventually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, there's a pair of folding doors behind the passenger compartment, and then it reveals a very large circular fan. And then it has other fans in the tailplane and in the wingtips, which are like reaction controls. So it allows you to control the aircraft when you're hovering. I noticed there wasn't one in the front, so I'm not quite sure how you stop the airplane pitching down unless the ones at the back are reversible. But I'm sure they've thought of that. But it all seems to fare away when you close up and get into a proper forward flight, a wing-borne flight. Then very good. Yes, it will need a very large fan, Lane.
Yeah, and Liz is wondering if Greg Peterson has anything to do with...
he might have some...
Well, perhaps his company is supplying the very large fans they'll need.
It might be, his company might be providing the very large donkey-ish fans.
I think it's going to be quite expensive.
Yeah.
It's using ultralight carbon fiber for high performance capability. It'll be semi-aerobatic because of the strength of the materials and the design. I don't think it's going to be the sort of Uber taxi of light aviation.
It's a good looking airplane, at least the artist rendition of it.
I think it looks a bit like a duck, but apart from that.
Well, okay. I mean,
it does have kind of anthropomorphic. I can't say that word. Anthropomorphic features.
Yeah. That
Those
word
two.
Kind of looks like it has a little grin and eyes, and
It does. I don't know what that is. What is that turquoise colored thing? Is that part of the headrests?
I have no idea. It looks like it's on the.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Liz thinks it looks like the Geico gecko.
Really?
Flying the airplane? Okay, yeah, it could be. Yeah, like a little face. Yeah, you're right. It is. Isn't it cute? All right. Well, so if you're
Platypus,
looking for a very cute looking hybrid electric VTOL
vertical takeoff landing aircraft
thing, when does it say it's going to be ready to go?
Did
Does
they
it
say?
There is a press release here. I don't know.
In the future.
In the future. Thank you. Perfect. All right. Well, that's it for news. Thank goodness. And that means, where is the... Oh, no, here it is. It's time. It is time to talk about what has been going on with us since the last episode, the Getting to Know Us segment. Well, who would like to go first?
Ladies first.
I think Steph is HR is pointing to your video thumbnail, sir. So.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That was that.
Yeah,
oh,
you should go first. Age before beauty.
Okay.
Oh, he's going to put himself on top of me. Look at that.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Fair enough. Take
All right.
the lead there, Nick.
Okay. What's happened in the last week? I have been way too busy actually, because it's funny. You get one photographic job, and quite often it quickly leads to another and then another.
What kind of job?
Yeah. Well, it's just
photographic. I'm sorry. I thought you
shoot,
said a different word. Sorry.
Photographic. So I've been doing a bunch of photography assignments.
He's not in Australia.
I know. I still have that Australia story in my head. Sorry.
Yeah. Sadly not. I think that'd be a great job though. So I've been working really hard doing all that and trying to keep up with the plaintails. So I've actually spent way too much time sitting at this damn computer, such that my back is complaining bitterly. Other than that, nothing aviation related, sadly. No, nothing at all really. So yeah, it's like I never was a pilot. I just
Have you?
Yeah, what are you doing in the show?
exactly. I
Jeez,
have no
gosh,
idea.
get out.
What is that? You have a green screen and you have a photo behind you, and it looks like it's some kind of a tent in Arabia.
It is.
What is that?
Exactly where
Oh,
it
is that
is.
exactly what it is? Okay.
It is the heart of your government, old chap.
Wait, that's not Arabia.
No, it's not. No, that's the dome
Capital.
in Capitol,
Okay.
the
So
Capitol
what's-
building on Capitol Hill.
And I didn't realize they had a tent there, or that must be the
That's
curtain or something.
the plush drapes
The drapery.
you guys have
Ah.
there.
Oh, very
So
nice.
yeah, I don't know if you remember. This is a few years back. I was doing a
Yeah.
Washington trip, and one of our lovely listeners, who was a director of media for the House of Representatives, very kindly invited me along for a private tour, and brought some of the crew along, and we had a great day. And it's such a fantastic looking building. Of course, I really enjoyed the opportunity to take some photographs. But
I think Dr. Dan is being quite rude. I don't know why you're calling Nick a rotunda on Capitol Hill. That's just not.
I've
very
lost
fair.
a lot of weight since then. So yeah, that was absolutely fabulous. And,
Yeah, I do remember that.
Very kind of. He showed us all sorts of bits that you wouldn't normally get to, like the back stair where one of the senators was murdered by. One of the senators murdered a reporter, and his blood
Probably for good reason.
It's because they couldn't get their aircraft.
I think it was. I think the reporter murdered the senator. Actually, yeah, I think
Oh.
so. Shot him because this senator was being very mean to this reporter, so he shot him, and the senator's blood
Justified.
stains the marble staircase. And
Oh.
a few other. And we went on the underground train that travels from Capitol Hill to some of the outlying buildings, and very impressive stuff. Lovely.
Like stuff that most people don't get a chance to see.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously public tours around there, but it was great to be able to get into onto the floor of the House of Representatives and
Get off the floor.
yeah, and see
Nick
the
has the floor.
bullet holes where someone took a pot shot at the senior what's the chap called who's got
The
the most
speaker?
number of senators and
The speaker,
Majority
that's the speaker of the
speaker, yeah.
House. In
Majority.
the Senate, it's the Senate majority leader.
this
and
is the
is
House of
the speaker.
Representatives. So.
Speaker.
Majority whip, minority. I don't know. Actually,
So anyway, someone up in the
balcony.
balcony took a pot shot at him, and you can mark where the bullet went through the desk and through the drawer in the desk, and then hit the floor. very. It almost got him. Nearly, not quite.
Wow.
But nearly got him. Anyway,
Better luck next time.
that's got nothing to do with what I was doing this week.
No.
So no, and I had a little medical checkup, so it looks like I'm going to live a bit longer, which is always
that's
nice.
Darn.
Yes, I know.
Steph.
Yeah, you're not in my.
I mean,
you're not in-
congratulations.
You're not in my will, Steph.
Oh.
You know this.
Well, if
Really?
you were, you're not anymore.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yep. So that's me, all done and dusted.
Oh, nice. Oh,
I still haven't got my damn camera yet.
Oh, no.
They still haven't made enough, so there's none to be had.
Well, I did see some of the photos you took of the dogs and stuff, and they were beautiful.
It's, a very pretty little spaniel in the studio. That was some nice little job.
Very good. All right, Steph.
Yeah. No flying stuff to report for me from the past weekend, but I did have a couple of very dear friends in town. Kind of had a mini vacation. I was off Monday this week, which was nice. Monday's usually a very busy day for me, but one of my childhood friends, actually, someone I've known for 30 plus years at this point, and who I do a lot of running with, and another running friend of mine all came to my house this weekend. And the reason being, we were supposed to be in London this past weekend for the rescheduled London Marathon, but they ran an elite only race kind of right around near Buckingham Palace, and told everyone else, if you wanted to run, you could just do it virtually on your own wherever you live, and do it with our app, and you'll submit your time and you'll get an official finisher medal for the virtual race and blah, blah, blah. So I picked that option.
You weren't elite enough?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, the elite races only had, a couple dozen people in each race, the men's and women's.
Oh.
It was pretty small.
Best of the best.
Very best of the best, socially distanced, all that good stuff. They had, and not the usual course. They had to do like 19 laps of the park, basically.
So where did you do your run?
I did mine on a local track. So for those who are not familiar with running, welcome to the running podcast, which I'm going to spend a brief amount of time on. Marathon is 42.195 kilometers or 26.2 miles. Take your pick for whichever measurement system you prefer. On the track, that's 105.5 laps if you run on the inside lane for 400 meters. So,
oh man.
Yeah, but my two friends were very sensible. They were signed up to actually run the London Marathon. They did not elect to run the virtual, so it was just me on the track. But they were nice enough to come out to the track with me anyway and heckle mostly and watch and drink beer. And it was actually chilly. It started off, we were in the upper 60s and it felt nice and comfortable. And actually, this is the only time I've ever run, put race in quotations here, but where I've actually had to put more clothing back on as I continued into the evening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it dropped down into the 40s, so it was pretty chilly. I drank a beer on my last mile. And,
you weren't as badly off as the people in London, though, because it was
raining.
absolutely hosing down.
So I actually did my run before that race happened. So you had a 24-hour period to complete the race, starting at midnight British summertime and ending at midnight British summertime, all on October 4th. So that's 7 p.m. here. So the only thing I found out, in order to get the app to work, to track correctly, you had to set your phone to the local time in England. Otherwise, it thought you were in the wrong time zone.
They weren't expecting people to do this in other parts of the world?
Obviously not.
Yeah. Just small technical glitch there. But that took me about 20 minutes to figure out.
Not interested in Johnny foreigners,
Oh, that's true.
I know, right? So that was a lot of fun. It was fun to have them here. They wanted to watch the race, and I think I'm the only of the three of us that had the appropriate cable network to watch the actual race happen. But that happened at like 2:00 in the morning local time, so I just recorded it, and we got up, had our breakfast and coffee and whatnot. And
is that the first time that you've had a beer on the last mile of a marathon?
No.
Oh.
On the last mile. In the last mile, yes.
Okay.
I've actually run one other marathon. The only time I ran the Charlotte Marathon, which I did not love the course. First half went great. Second half was not going so well, and someone offered a PBR about midway through the second half of the race, and I took it and walked and drank that beer and enjoyed it very much. So it was not a race for time. It was fun, and I appreciate my friends being there. And they made signs like every lap. There was a new sign to read. They made 105 signs.
Wow.
Yeah,
They are
they
good
were
friends.
they are good friends. And we actually had some reasonably nice weather during the day, mid 70s and sunny, so got to spend some time outside and enjoy. But yeah, it was very nice, and that was my mini preview vacation because I'm actually on vacation today, and I'm on vacation all next week.
Yay!
Yay!
Happy vacation!
Hooray.
It's very nice. Not to
All
be at
next
work.
week, huh?
All next week.
Very good.
So has your London Marathon jacket pitched up yet?
It has not, but my considerable thanks to Captain Nick for forwarding it on to me because I could
Well, it
only
hasn't
send
arrived
it.
yet, so I wouldn't.
I could
thank
only
you.
we'll see. The Royal Mail was able to deliver my information for the London Marathon on time,
Oh, good.
like the week before. So that was I do have some faith in the. Our
I hope you didn't pay much
perspective.
for it because it would fit in the average coffee mug.
Well, I hope
It's
you
not a
didn't try
very
to.
big
I hope
piece
you
of
didn't
it.
try
A
to
very
put that
big
on because I don't think
person.
it was your size.
I have other jackets from that brand that are very similar. The New York City Marathon has the same jacket, so I've just looked at the size I ordered there and got the same size. So we'll see.
Oh well.
No, because
Fingers
I had I had like a 30% off coupon for actually having run the race.
Oh right. Oh, right. Okay.
Very
Cool.
good.
But yeah, I couldn't send it to my home address, so I had to send it to Nick because it had to be a UK address from there.
I thought I was getting a present.
I know I should have sent you something. I'll do that next time.
Oh, what is this?
Yes, I know. I was all
Yeah,
excited.
he thought it was his camera. He was so disappointed.
And then it said Stephanie Plummer on the top. And I went, "Ugh."
No, jeez, gosh. No, thank you very much. I owe you a beer for the postage. Apparently, a couple of beers, probably.
Yes,
Yeah, several.
a couple of beers will suffice. Thank you.
Excellent.
Big ones.
right. Any big
So that's-
plans for vacation next week, or are you just gonna?
Yeah,
hang out,
so
staycation?
it involves more running. So I'll fill
Oh.
you in on that later because I think I've said enough about running now.
Okay.
And it'll be out in the desert Southwest. So looking forward to that.
Very nice.
With my same one of the friends who was here with me this past weekend,
Oh, I know.
and then also my brother. Yeah,
I heard about this. I remember now.
yeah. But I'll fill you in next week because
How's the weather out there right now? Pretty good.
Depends on where. So we're going to be up kind of in some higher terrain. So it'll
Mhm.
be in the 70s
Oh.
and sunny.
Nice.
In the lower altitudes, it's going to be in the 90s. But I only have like 3 days there.
Well, I can't wait to hear about it.
Fill you in.
Okay, very good. And nothing going on with me. Let's keep on going.
No, this is going to be the exciting bit.
No, it's not that exciting. I am. I just started. Believe it or not, I'm actually. Well, I'm not really being productive, but I am doing something other than just working on the show week to week for the last since May 27th. I have started my training for the Acme 717-200, which is also the McDonnell Douglas MD-95. Yeah, I've heard about it. Just started that on Monday, classroom on Monday, and then Tuesday we took a little test, and I have to say that I scored, and it was a little bit unusual for APG kind of related stuff
50%.
because
Hooray.
51%.
times 2.
Ooh.
102%. You mean you cheated?
Well, it was. Thank you. And do it again. Put it up there again. Thank you. That's 100%. You see the 50%
Hooray.
twice.
Good job.
It
That was 100% just for getting your name right.
No, it was like 150 questions or something like that.
Oh, really?
But it was kind of an open book kind of thing, and apparently the younger fellows, 2 others that were in my little group, decided that finishing as quickly as possible was more important than being correct. So I was, the younger generation, those whippersnappers. Yeah, the tortoise and the hare, and I was the tortoise. And I
What
got the
was the
100%.
required pass mark?
80.
Oh, okay.
80%.
So you could have just filled out 80% of the questions and then left.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of cool. The guy that was administering it was a computer-based test, electronics systems validation, said that he would keep track of everything, and then if it looked like we were on a negative track to not get 8 out of 10 or 16 out of 20 or whatever, that he would try to alert us to the fact that we needed to concentrate and focus a little bit more. So
Oh, you at the back. Wake up.
Yeah. Hey, Neil said, concentrate,
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
so,
I'm very pleased to hear that you got through that all right.
Congratulations.
yeah, it's well, how massive my what
It's a good
is,
start.
Liz? Oh, no. Yeah, that's not for the show. Oh, no. How large the class is. Yeah. It was only 3 of us. So I was in the top third.
Good for you.
And so my first officer that I'm going through training with was one of the other participants, and then another guy who I've flown with many, many times. And by the way, all of us are off the 88 fleet and are now on the 717 learning how to fly this thing. And anyway, Kurt was the other guy, and a very nice guy. And he's going through, doesn't have a captain to go through with, so he's getting, specialized.
Special
be-
attention.
Yeah, special attention.
Personalized.
Kelly has a good question, Liz says. How much training is needed for someone with 10,000 plus hours on a very similar type? And a type rating, it seems like a simple transition. Yeah, technically this is an initial qualification course, but because you're right, Kelly, I do have a DC-9 type rating already. It's not type rating training for me. And it's interesting because one of the factors in me choosing the 717 as opposed to going to the 7576 is that I would qualify for the short course. And along the way, they figured out that, well, you only qualify for the short course if you're current and qualified on the MD-88, MD-90. And I lost my currency in August. And so that basically put me into a different category, which meant that I had to take the full initial qual course. And I'm glad that happened because I already feel like I'm trying to drink from a fire hose right now. And wait a minute, what happened there? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I turned down a fader and then all of a sudden I couldn't hear anything. I'm in the long course category now, and I'm glad because the short course would have been like way too much stuff to learn in a very too short of a time. So, yeah, I have a lot of, more than 10,000, almost 12,000 hours on the MD-88 and MD-90, but it's different enough that I feel like I'm almost, like learning a new airplane. So it's that much, they've modernized a lot of the systems on the airplane. The bones are the same, but, the systems in an effort to make it more modern and more automated are quite different. So
Is the pressurization system any better? Because I know you always had a bit of a thing about that.
It seems to be. I don't know. I've actually not been in the actual airplane, but from what I've seen so far, I think that they've made some improvements with it and made it simpler, especially if you have to revert to manual pressurization. But what else was I going to say? Oh, they said that essentially what this 717 MD-95 is the flight deck of the MD-11, the big wide body.
I was going to say, how did you cram that into?
Well, they just had to put it. They had to get a bunch of people like squeezing from either side. Stuff it in
Is
there.
it wrap around? Like go behind you?
Yeah, it does. But nice big screens and the box is the unusual thing. Is that because Swiss Air was the launch customer for the MD-11, they designed the flight management system with more of a European kind of way of doing things. So it's very similar. People that know about these things, I don't because I've never flown an Airbus, but they said the box is very, very similar to the Airbus style of doing things as opposed to the Boeing way of doing things. So, but I'm figuring it out slowly but surely. Today was a good day because I got our instructor today is a line pilot, and he was able to speak more line pilot language than the previous 2 days, and a lot of light bulbs are going off in my head going, oh, okay. Because he was going, okay, this means this from what you're used to. Oh, okay, I get it. So things are getting better.
Great.
Connecting
Excellent.
the dots for sure. Okay, so that's what I've been doing this week, and have the weekend off, and then on Monday go back to training again. You had been working on for quite a number of months the special mass at my church. A lot of you know that I sing at my church, and it was a very special ritual mass thing for our new Archbishop in Atlanta, and they instead of doing it at the cathedral, which is not as large a space as the church that I go to up here on the north side, they decided to have it here, and I was one of probably 9 or 10 singers in this ensemble. And we've been really, really practicing hard. And I think that we did a wonderful job on Wednesday, midday. So that's over with, thank goodness.
Excellent.
And
Was it an impressive thing to just watch? I mean, apart from your singing,
I mean, it was okay. I mean, yeah, it was, they had a lot of I don't know. Yeah, a lot of incense. Actually, not as much as Liz and
There's a lot
I
of
were
like
saying.
pumping.
They were
incense.
incensed.
Yeah, they were incensed for sure when they heard me singing. But not as much incense as I was hoping, but much more than a normal weekend mass because they hardly ever use it anymore, sadly. But,
Not after that bloke put the
symbolism.
Hash in there.
Yeah, everybody kind of spaced out that mass. No, the symbol, a lot of rich in symbolism. This mass, the pallium is something that it's a special garment. Not actually a garment. It's almost like I guess it's a garment that they put on top of the shoulders, the yoke of the archbishop, because he's the Not every bishop gets one of these things, but since he's a metropolitan archbishop in charge of a bigger territory or whatever, the Pope has a special pallium, they call it, that they put. It's like the yoke, or it's supposed to symbolize like the bishop putting a lamb over his shoulders. The shepherd, yes, he's the shepherd, and we're his sheep, and that kind of thing. So it was really, really nice, very nice.
Excellent.
So
Lovely.
that was another thing that was a prominent part of my week, and the show, which of course is the best part of the week, which is what we're doing right now. So you are now all up to date. All right. Well, before that though, Liz, I think we need to, and I know that Liz doesn't want me to talk about this, but Rory,
We're not going to play the video again.
Pardon?
I'm
No,
sorry.
that's for the post show.
Gotcha.
So we got this from Rory, one of our patrons, and he said, "Hey, Captain Jeff and crew, I'm a student pilot and a new listener, hoping to upgrade next year from my beloved paraglider to a wonderful regulation-free ultralight here in Virginia. Not to pull hairs, but so it's always the feedback is like this when people complain." It's really good stuff at the beginning, making you feel, oh, look, this person really loves us and just telling us how great we are.
It's the compliment sandwich.
Yeah.
You get a compliment on one end and a compliment on the other end, and the complaint in the middle.
Let's get the complaint.
Okay.
Now we're in the meat of it. Not to pull hairs, but on the last episode of APG, you mentioned that the 727 was completely retired from cargo ops. And I can tell, this was not your mistake, Liz. It was mine. Oh, shoot. Oh, you do? Okay, good.
When did we say that? I don't even remember saying that because that's not true.
Yeah. Let's see.
Must not have been paying attention.
Jeff, you mentioned that the 727 was completely retired from cargo ops. And then I did actually say in the U.S., but that even wasn't correct. He says, I can tell you for a fact that a very few of them are still in the air. Just last Thursday, October 1st, the night Trump caught COVID, Kalitta Air 727, I think there's no connection here, took off from Newport News and flew to Texas. That was the second coolest airplane to fly that night. At the same time, a brand new Basler BT-67, a modernized/militarized DC-3, if you can believe it, took off from Pax River Naval Air Station and flew around a few hundred miles off Norfolk for about 8 hours. Very cool to see such an old airplane completely rebuilt and used in an extremely modern way. And then he gave us a link to FlightAware to see the path of this.
Is that Kalita 727? Do they do that for horse transportation as well?
I'm not sure if that's what they're using. I know that there's an
I think they
outfit
have one
in-
that's for transporting horses.
There's an outfit in Lexington, Air Horse One. Okay. There's an outfit in, yeah, Greg Peterson in Lexington. There is a company. I forgot. Is that the name of the company, Liz, or is this what they call the thing? They call the plane Air Horse One.
Air Horse One. It's part of Kalita charters.
Oh, that is Kalita?
Mm-hmm. They operate it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that Kalita operated it. Okay. Because it doesn't have Kalita colors on it.
No,
because
it
I've
does
seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now that makes sense. Just like Atlas does a lot of flying for like the Dream Lifter and that kind of thing. They do contract flying. So,
sure.
Okay. Very cool.
And I'd just like to mention.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. We have a little intervention here.
Rory, you split hairs. You don't pull them. If you pull them, that's painful. Splitting hairs is the phrase you're looking for.
Well, Liz is trying to communicate something to me, and I'm sorry, Steph. It's not going to be good for you. Air Horse One is owned by Air Horse International. Yeah, but who flies the airplane for them?
Yes, they operate it.
Yeah, Steph says they operate it. Liz says, okay.
I mean, I will
believe
admit that I could be
you.
wrong, but
I bet she didn't say it like that.
I have seen recent information which leads me to believe I'm correct.
Liz is saying now that she's wrong and Steph's right. Okay, good. I'm glad we got that. Oh, she did. Liz didn't read the
specifically a
article
social
far
media
enough down.
post by one of their pilots. So, just
okay.
within like the past week. Anyway, something on my computer wants me to update.
Yeah, this would be a good time to update. Yeah. So anyway, you are correct. The 7.2 is still being used out there for cargo transport, and as I said, I think there's a couple of companies down in South America and maybe Africa that are still flying the 727s as well. So, Lane is making a point here about that. No unicorns allowed. Oh. Is that in the Wikipedia article?
Did the unicorn escape from the 727 charter onto this field in Isle of Man? Is that where it came from?
I think maybe so, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the Basler BT-67, Basler, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Is Basler or Basler? Company in Wisconsin that basically takes a DC-3 and like remakes it into almost like a brand new airplane. They put turboprop PT6 Canada, was it Pratt & Whitney Canada PT6 something or other turboprop engines on the thing. Very, very cool. And yeah.
It looks very good with its 6-bladed props.
Yeah. Got a lot of power, I think. Oh. All right. So we have another correction here. Oh, no. David, this is from David Happy. Keeping Liz above 50%. Liz said on the last episode that only Singapore and Emirates were still flying the A380. Wrong. Wow, he put all that in caps. The truth is, Emirates, China Southern, and High Fly Malta are the only three flying them now. ANA have been using 2 of their 380s for pleasure flights to nowhere. And then it says here that Liz, and she's telling me now, she apologizes for her error. Yes, profusely. So she's hoping that nobody was offended or made any kind of investment decisions based on any of that information. Okay. All right. Have we fessed up and cleaned all that up for today's show?
I think
Back
so.
to 50%. Good. All right. Well, that means then it is time for the coffee fund.
Johnny, how much more coffee?
No, we don't. I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah, that's Jeff Smith singing the APG Java Jive. And why, you may ask, is he doing that? Well, that's because this is the part of the show where we acknowledge the people, the fine people that contribute to it financially. And since the last couple different ways to do it. One is called the Coffee Fund Classic Method. And since the last episode, we have Randy Ackerman, Ludger Humpert, Kay Pitts, and Masuts Karim, who used the Coffee Fund Classic Method for their contributions. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for all of that. And the other way to do it is to become a patron of the show via patreon.com. And we have a new producer. His name is Rick Barnes. Perhaps you've heard of him? Well, we have, because he's a new patron, new producer of the show. Thank you, Rick, for joining this great group of folks. Hey, if you want to support the show financially and you have the resources to do so, please check it out by going over to airlinepilotguy.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. We will too. I promise.
Captain, incoming message.
How's everybody doing? Anybody need a break?
I just had one.
I know, you just took
Yeah,
one.
I said it. Thanks.
Do you need a break?
I don't know. Wait, hang on. No.
Yeah.
Wait.
The chair's a bit damp, but you're fine.
Yeah, I'm good now. Okay, sorry. Here we go again. Let's start off with the first item in the feedback notebook from Dave. He says, "Hi all. I came across this interesting YouTube video and thought it useful for a bit of mischief making with Captain Nick and Miami Rick. Love to hear their reviews." And it's a YouTube video, and honestly, I've already forgotten what the video is about. Here, let me just. Should I play it?
Play a small part, like it would.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to play it now. I remember. Thank you. Yeah. It's like one of those jet pilot video things. What's the name of the company?
He starts off. He's like, I'm only wearing the headset because we're recording, but it's so quiet here in my A340 that I wouldn't even need a headset for.
Yeah, it's a flight.
Very true.
All right.
Cannot deny.
Belgian Air, I think. Is that the? Or
I don't remember actually.
Anyway, it's a European carrier flying the A340, and they're going from an origin to a destination.
Not just around in circles.
I don't recall exactly.
I don't know.
I just have a faint memory of this video. But anyway, the captain of the aircraft talks about the wonderfulness of the A340. Not as well as
buses
Nick
in general.
and not as well, I should add, as Nick would if he were starring in this particular video.
Oh, that's what you should do. You should.
There you go.
Produce some
I'd
propaganda
be much more
video.
even-handed propaganda video. Goebbels. Oh dear. No, I don't think so.
Oh, you know what? Point of order. Liz is making a good point. She says, you never told anybody where Rick is. Well, there's a good reason for that.
Because we
I
don't know.
have no idea.
Secret assignment.
He's out there in the world somewhere flying big airplanes. But
Probably.
he wasn't able to make it. Probably, as far as we know. Yeah, we think. But we were hoping he'd be able to make it on today's show, but apparently he didn't. So hopefully we'll have him on the show again at some time in the future. Yeah.
Very
well,
good.
that's about as
Specific as you can get right now.
specific as I can get right now, because that's really all I know. All right. So anyway, if you like Airbuses and A340s specifically, please check out this video sent in from Dave Lakeland. Thank you, Dave. And the next item we have here is from Pasadena, Brian. And it says, "If I've said it once, I've said it 145 times. I'm a bit behind listening to your show." Come on, Brian, get with the picture. Get with the program here.
Yeah, don't you have some extra time now to listen
Yeah,
to
you'd think.
our podcast?
I think he's a busy man. doing
He is.
3D printing and making masks.
Masks. Yep.
Just finished listening to episode 440, recorded on August 31st. Today is September 16th. Actually, it's not. Today is actually the 9th of October. But anyway, when he was writing this, it was the 16th of September. Yes, I've caught up a bit on the backlog of APG shows, but I still have a few more hours. Okay, I really mean days to invest in listening to get fully caught up. Anyway, I said I just finished listening to episode 440 because you mentioned receiving the Remove Before Flight mask I sent you. That made me laugh out loud because I mailed it to you the same week I sent the mask to Dr. Steph. Sure, in APG time, it seemed like I sent you the mask because you begged for one on the show. And then a smiley face. But that's not true at all. I sent one to you as a thank you gesture for mentioning the site. Tabfabric.com. He's making us do it again. This Brian guy is very, very clever man. Tabfabric, T-A-B fabric.com on your show. It took me some time. Did I mention the name of the company? Tabfabric.com. It took me some time to get the mask to you because aviation themed fabric is so darn difficult to find these days. I really ran out of fabric shortly after you mentioned the site on your show. As a result of your promotion of the site, I am really grateful to you and your listeners who have purchased masks from the site. The women's shelter here in Pasadena is also grateful because the proceeds from these sales are going to support their cause. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. And thank you for all the time and effort you put into the show. I just wish you didn't put so much time into it because if you didn't, I'd be caught up. I get it.
We're going to have to work
time
overtime
into it.
now.
Yeah. And honestly, I only, it's only what I do is just a small part of a lot of the effort that goes into the show. Liz does a heck of a lot. So
It is true.
Behind the scenes.
Very true.
And of course, we can't forget the old captain, the old curmudgeon, and spends a lot of time on those plane tales for
tales.
sure.
I don't really.
I don't put that much time into the
Okay,
show.
well,
No.
actually,
About 3 hours a week.
none of us do anything. But whatever, we still have fun. Anyway, yeah, it just happens. Anyways, it says fly safely, Pasadena, Brian. P.S. Yes, if you read this on the show, the discount code of LOVE APG, LOVE APG, it's all in all caps. I don't know if that matters or not.
All caps and all one word.
all
L-O-V-E-A-P-G.
one word. You're LOVE, LOVE APG, all in caps, is still valid on all purchases from the TAB, all caps, fabric site. And if you don't read it, the code will still be valid. Well, okay. Very nice. Thank you, Brian. We read it. And we encourage everybody to go to that site, help support the Women's Shelter of Pasadena. And he said, PPS, I hope you enjoy the mask. Thanks again. I really do. Thank you, Brian, for sending it. Really do appreciate it. All right. Continuing on with the third item in feedback. Okay. And, I was kind of scanning the social medias last week, and a couple of the prominent APG community members were talking about their recent adventure involving flying and something else. And they're going to tell you, we're going to tell you actually, got them all together. This person, well, I'm going to say who it is in the video I'm about to play. And it's about 26 minutes long. On the long side, but I think it's worth it. So this is a technical pause here because I have to go ahead and load it up. That's one of those things I did not do before we started the show today. So,
26 minutes, huh? Okay.
Yeah. So just mark the time right now, Liz. And let's see how long it takes me to figure out where it is.
That's what she said. Sorry.
Thanks, Steph. Well, I mean, that's the way he sent it to me, but I have it. Yeah, I put it somewhere. All right. Uh-oh. Okay. Hang on. Let me open up a tab here. Unfortunately, it was so long. How long was it? That it was too long for the doing it as a video overlay in StreamYard. So I have to play it in a Chrome tab and share the screen that way. So hopefully this will work. Right, I just saw it here. Go. Put it there.
Well, hey, everybody.
Oh, hey,
I was
Jeff. Don't start talking yet. It just started playing right away. Okay, now get back here to StreamYard and share the screen. Chrome tab, share audio, and share. And nothing's happening. Share. Hello. Okay, try it again. Share. Ah, you seeing something now? Okay. Let me hit the play button. Here we go. Resuming recording. Well, hey, everybody. I was watching the social media today, and I happened to notice some of our very prominent community members. Let's see. I'll just use your real name, Robert Fairbairn.
It's always an adventure.
Yes. And Hillel. You know Hillel. He's always in the shower, but I caught him. He was okay. He said it's echoing. So how would I stop that? No. Here. This is a test. Let me see if it's still echoing when I do this. He wasn't in the shower. He's actually out of the shower. It's still echoing? Okay. Wearing clothes. How about if I do this? And he's not complaining about being wet or anything. And you hear it? Okay, I contacted the two of them and said, okay, well, I don't need to hear it because I was there. Okay. So, all right. All right, so I'm going to start from the beginning. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. I was watching the social media today, and I happened to notice some of our very prominent community members. Let's see. I'll just use your real name, Robert Fairbairn.
It's always an adventure.
Yes. And Hillel. You know Hillel. He's always in the shower, but I caught him. He wasn't in the shower. He's actually out of the shower wearing clothes, and he's not complaining about it being wet or anything. And so I contacted the two of them and said, would you mind just telling our community about this wonderful adventure that involves 1, airplanes, 2, dogs, puppy dogs. And I think that would be a very compelling story to tell. So
yeah. Now
I'm going to direct it to you guys, and you can tell the community about what the heck you guys did today.
Well, I'm going to start following with what you said on I feel exceptionally honored to have spent not 1, not 2, but 6 or 7 hours in the company of Mr. Hillel here with nary a bathtub, bathroom, or even bathrobe in sight. And that is a rare thing these days, but it was truly wonderful, and I appreciate the opportunity. But since Hillel kicked this whole thing off, I'll let him tell you what we were really doing today.
Thanks, Rob. Although Mother Nature did try to douse us several times.
And when you say kick this thing off, you're not talking about the towel.
No,
Okay.
Preferably not. Good. He does look like he's already showered, and I think that's probably a good place to stick
family
with
show.
Yeah, family show. So I have been volunteering with an organization called Pilots and Paws for close to a year. Rob's actually been doing it for a lot longer, so he's an old hand at it. And I'll just quickly catch anyone up to speed who hasn't heard of these folks. So Pilots and Paws is really not. It is a sponsored organization. There's I'll have to get the name of the pet company, the pet supply company that sponsors it. But we are volunteer pilots who are on a old school internet bulletin board, and any organization or individual that needs to move, typically a pet type of animal, dogs mostly, lots of cats. Occasionally I've heard people are asking to be sending something more exotic, like a iguana or whatever. But
I at my airport did a sea turtle a few weeks ago, so it's fairly broad if it needs to be.
Yeah,
those are big things, aren't they? Sea turtles?
They might have used a twin for that.
Oh man.
So it's a self-organizing network of volunteer pilots around the country to help move animals from typically shelters where they don't have a long opportunity to spend their time waiting to be adopted, or to other places that either have the room or don't have policies against euthanizing animals. Some states have, and municipalities have, very low tolerance for animals, and even an animal that looks like it's domestic, has got a collar or whatever. If they can't find the owner, and this animal's unfortunately in one of these locations, it within a week it could be euthanized if the owner doesn't come claim it. Of course, if they're a stray altogether, that's even less chances of them living along and cared for life. So anyone looking to move the animals from one part of the country to another, it's typically because the shelters where the animals currently are in are either at capacity or are just, they're timing out. They're spending a lot too much time in that shelter, and they got to move them out or they're going to be euthanized. So they they post these animals that need to be moved from one place to another. They post them on the bulletin board. Pilots like Rob and myself go to the bulletin board and look for flights that we think we can help with. In many cases, it's simply a leg of several flights. So today, the animals were moved from North Carolina to Pennsylvania, and it only required 2 legs. Someone brought them to us. We met them in Virginia. We'll get to that in a minute, and we took it on. Other animals are in multi-legs. A couple weeks ago, I flew German Shepherd, and I was the 4th of a minimum of 5 legs, and I believe that that particular dog had yet more traveling to do even after he got to wherever he was going that day. So in any case, we find a trip that we think we can help with, and we just post, I can handle from here to here, or whatever the case might be. And then once there's somebody initiates this trip request, so it's usually someone at on the sending end, or is already part of an organization that's trying to send them. We're agnostic to the organization. So it could be a profit, a nonprofit, or an individual. The pilots are agnostic. So think of us as, you can ship your packages with any shipping provider that you're willing to go with. And the shipping provider, UPS, FedEx, whomever, they don't really care who the sender and the receiver are, not without legalities getting involved. But so that's kind of like what Pilots and Paws is. We're just the transportation. If we want to claim any kind of benefits to our taxes by spending money that we're not getting recovered, that's really on us to figure out how to do. If one of the ends, the receiver or the sender, is a charity, we can claim them as the charity. That's on us though. It's not something that we're given through Pilots and Paws. I'm sure there are plenty of corporate volunteers as well doing part of their community outreach, just as well as there are lots of pilots like Rob and myself flying our own private or shared aircraft, as well as I've landed or picked up an animal that was dropped off by something more, a little bit more powerful and had a lot bigger range. Twin Cessna, for example, came and brought us a couple of dogs a while ago. So I found this trip that I could do, in a fortunate position that I had the time and some extra cash that I can burn on flying.
So I was going to say that you're doing this all on your own expense, right?
Yeah, precisely. There's nothing I can recover except through tax breaks. If I try, you have to be careful about that too. And Rob and I know each other for now a few years, and he's helped me out in other ways in the plane. There's instrument ratings that, when you have an instrument rating, the requirements that you have to keep up those flying of the instrument procedures. Rob's helped me at least once on that. And so when Pilots and Paws came around, it's all, if you're a pilot and you're not flying and it's a nice day to fly, that's the last place you want to be, is on the ground. So I frequently text Robert, say, hey, Robert, I'm doing this flight. And it hasn't worked out until today. Actually, it worked out. We've tried several times and nobody, it's not always going to work out, but today it worked out great. And so he got in his car, and you can tell that part about coming up to meet me. And then we went off, but I'll refrain from providing the rest of the story until Robert gives his side of the equation.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Hillel pretty well covered it. Pilots and Paws is a very sort of, it's almost a stretch to call it an organization. There's an organization that basically maintains a website, and that's essentially what they do. But it's sort of a free for all, really. That that people post up their requests and their needs, and as he said, most of the time it's animals that are moving from high kill rate shelters or short turnaround time shelters to shelters with longer times for their animals, or a lot of what I used to do was specifically from jurisdictions that don't allow bully breeds to be adopted out at all. So any quote bully breed that comes into a shelter is necessarily going to be euthanized unless they can find another thing to do, which is usually to transfer them to a shelter in a jurisdiction that does allow them to be adopted out rather. So I spent, when I did a lot of this, most of it was 3 or 4 years ago. And I spent in a summer, I think I had more than 10 trips with the same pilot flying the first half of the legs, bringing animals up from, I think it was Georgia, meeting me in Maryland or Virginia. And then I was taking them on up to Vermont or New Hampshire. And there was an organization up there taking them in. So I took 20 or 30 animals just in the course of one summer. I know he did some trips that I wasn't able to join in. And so there's a lot of that kind of thing going on as well. But basically, it's a very informal thing. Pilots or organizations mostly put up requests, and pilots jump in and say, I can do this one. And then it basically falls down to people that most of the time take it off the forum and have a private conversation and figure out the logistics, and off you go. And so as Hillel said, we've spoken a few times, and I've gone out and played safety pilot for him. And we enjoy flying together, enjoy each other's company to begin with. And, since this is something we're both fairly interested in, passionate about doing and taking care of some of these animals, it was a great opportunity that had not come together previously. So I got up nice and early this morning and drove up to Baltimore, and we set up at the airport he's based in, and we took a nice little flight down to Tappahannock, Virginia. Had a nice bite to eat since the pilot we were meeting was running behind. He apparently had a mechanical this morning and was a bit late, but that meant we got a lunch break, which was nice. Loaded up 2 really beautiful, very sweet little puppies, and brought them on up to Pennsylvania, where we dropped them off with their very excited new rescue organization, who apparently had never done this before. So they were very, very excited. We had some onlookers. Our drop-off location was, in fact, the American Helicopter Museum. Which employs, among many other people, I imagine, one David M. Vanderhoof, who's well known to some of the people in this group, I'm sure. So we had
what?
Shake hands with him, and in fact,
that's so cool.
He parked us as we came in the aircraft.
Yeah, that's right. He works at the museum.
We had a couple of families hanging around there, and kind of watching. So a little bit of an audience. And the puppies jumped out of the plane, very excited. Nice to see new places. I'm sure they were probably happy to be out of the airplane by that point as well. But they were great passengers. They were very, very sweet, and they're now off to new homes. Potentially including someone we know, but anyway, so we had an opportunity to catch up with David a little bit, hung around the museum there, took a little look around for maybe half an hour, and then flew on back to Baltimore and called it a day.
Did he know that you guys were coming through?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, as soon as they so if we look at one of the trips, you can see that where there's a destination airport, and or that you have to land at an airport. So when I saw that this destination was let me back up a second. The people who are asking for us to bring the animals and the people who are receiving the animals typically knows next to nothing about aviation, and so they will frequently say the origin is, and they'll put a pin on the shelter, and the destination is, and they'll put a pin on the destination shelter. And then it's up to us to find what's the nearest logical, most reasonable airport to go pick them up and drop them off. Mm-hmm. And then it's been on more than one occasion they've asked us to use an airport, and I looked at the airport, and they don't know anything, so they wanted me to land on a 2,000-foot grass strip somewhere because they knew it was there. And I'm like, yeah, so the weather that day is not going to work for me. And so I suggested the 5,500-foot airport with the instrument approaches that was just 2 miles away. Mm-hmm. So
what's the difference?
Yeah. So this particular wasn't there any different. They selected the location of the either the town that the shelter was in or the shelter itself. And I saw the nearest airport was Brandywine Airport, Kilo Oscar, Quebec, November in Pennsylvania, which I also knew was the home of the American Helicopter Museum.
Okay.
So I immediately texted, once it was finalized that this was going to happen, barring any unforeseen, weather or mechanical issues, I texted David Vanderhoof. I said, "Hey, are you working Friday?" He's like, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, we're going to drop off a couple of puppies for Pallets and
Well, I
Paws."
didn't order any puppies.
And yeah,
You get one.
Robert captured it really well. There's a lot of excited people for, this was the first time the Helicopter Museum played host to the exchange. This was the first time the receiving shelter had actually come to an airport to receive animals.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of exciting for us to be the first for all these other participants in this transaction. And
there were even a couple of families with small children that had paid admission to the museum and got to watch an airplane take off as a bonus.
land and
Looked like very exciting to them.
yeah, and the volunteer was taking the dog. They wanted to see the dogs too, so he walked the dogs over to the kids and let the kids pet the dogs and whatever. So it was So we got a chance to hang out in David's place of work. They got some pretty cool helicopters there. So if you're into helicopters, it's a very small location and it is very tightly packed with helicopters. So I recommend it if you can make it in.
And we should mention, because not everybody listening to the Airline Pilot Guy show necessarily listens to the Airplane Geeks podcast. They should.
Or the UAV Digest.
Or the UAV Digest. And David Vanderhoof is co-host on both of those very, very fine podcasts. So check it out.
Yeah. So it was a really nice time. Very rewarding.
What'd you say, Robert?
Rewarding.
I'm sorry.
And he was a great host in person as well.
Ah, okay.
Yes, we can't miss that. And we were invited back anytime we want to drop off any dogs at the museum. We're welcome to. And so that was that. It was very fulfilling. I was earlier. I mentioned how Mother Nature tried to drench us. We were the weather was rather less than what it was predicted to be. It was supposed to be much nicer weather, and this last few days the forecasts have been wrong most of the days, and today was no exception. By the time we took off, it was supposed to be high clouds and sunny. That didn't happen. Actually, the high clouds never happened. There were also high clouds, but the low clouds were there too. And there was one. Our flight from Baltimore down to Tappahannock was mostly down the Chesapeake Bay, and then right before the Patuxent Naval Air Station, you turn west and head over to the Rappahannock River. But the weather was clearing up on the west of the Chesapeake Bay where we live, and on the east of the Chesapeake Bay. And so the clouds had nowhere to go except straight down the middle of the Chesapeake Bay, which is exactly where we were. So it was kind of funny because there's visual conditions clear in a million to the left and to the right, but we were in the middle. And a few times it was just okay, we just literally flying by nothing except instruments until we turned west and broke out of the clouds and were able to land visually. But while we were in the clouds, we were getting tossed around pretty good. But that's why you get an instrument rating.
There you go. Came in handy.
It did.
So tell me about your passengers.
Well, let's see. I'm afraid I didn't actually catch their names. I'm sure Hillel can fill them in. But we had two really, really wonderful little dogs. I guess one was, I keep saying puppies. One of them I think was still a puppy, 4 months or something like that, and was a little bit airplane afraid. She had to be lifted in and out of the airplane on both occasions, but was incredibly sweet and very, very affectionate. The other was a bit bigger, I think about a 2-year-old pit bull mix or something of the sort.
A hound
Also
dog of
really
some kind, I think.
Yeah, really, really friendly, really out. I mean, they were both really, really sweet dogs. And, we met the incoming pilot, gave him a little walk around the Tappahannock airport and loaded them up in the plane. We took off and they were attentive and curious for about 5 minutes. And as is usually the case in my experience anyway, after about 5 minutes, once you're in the air, they fall asleep. And it's actually one of the things that's really fun about this. Until you do it, you don't really know. But you always have this concern that the dogs are going to be very apprehensive or concerned. And in my experience, at least, every single one I've ever flown, they get up and they look around a little bit and they're curious for 5 or maybe 10 minutes, but then they fall asleep and they just sleep most of the trip. And sometimes they get up for a minute again here and there, but that's about it.
Do they sit in the seats or do they stay in a kennel, or how does
So
that all
Hillel
work?
took in this case, took the seats out, the rear seats out of his aircraft. And so they had the whole, rear section of the airplane. But I mean, certainly it sort of depends on the dog and the situation. Generally try and make sure they're restrained somehow, because obviously you don't want a dog jumping into your lap, while you're flying. But I think that was part of why I was there. It was my job to keep the dogs out of Hillel's lap while he was flying. And
The handler.
I've certainly done it with carriers and without, but generally tied down in some way.
Well, tell the audience, Hillel, about your airplane. Not everybody knows what kind of airplane you have.
Oh, it's a single engine, 4-cylinder piston aircraft. It's a Piper Cherokee. It's known as a PA for Piper 28. So Cherokees, Warriors, Archers, all the same family. And it's a 1972 model, and that's it's kind of like your family jalopy kind of thing. It's pretty
nicer than that.
It's a little nicer than that.
Yeah. Wouldn't call that a jalopy.
Yeah, no, I'm not dissing the plane. It's just it's not a race car. It's not a station wagon. It's a nice little sedan kind of thing. And although it only has one door, and so it goes about 120 miles an hour, without wind, a little bit faster maybe, 125 without wind, and you actually had a tailwind mostly in both directions, partially because on the way down, the weather was clearing out in one direction, and on the way up, we got up above the clouds and went across. So the cloud layer, for those that aren't familiar, so often acts as a barrier between wind going in one direction and wind going in another direction. So below the clouds, we would have had a headwind, and above the clouds, we ended up with a slight tailwind. And sure enough, as soon as air traffic control brought us down beneath the clouds to start our arrival into our destination airport, we went right back into a headwind. So it wasn't a terrible one, though. It didn't slow us down. I think we spent 2.7 hours total with the engine on. So I think that sounds about right. So, but obviously time on both ends to do other stuff.
Wow, that is so cool. So we're going to have some pictures of the whole adventure. We'll have those in the show notes. You guys are going to send those to me so we can include them. And then the video that we're recording right now, perhaps we'll be seeing some shots here and there of various parts of your flights and your passengers and all that kind of stuff. So look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and any pilots that are in the U.S. that are interested, there's an application process, but it's not. They just want to know if you're a qualified pilot, essentially, and the rest is up to you.
A lot of the people that I know that got involved, that was how. A lot of people get their ticket and they want to go do flying, and everybody's familiar generally with the concept of the $100 hamburger, which is, well, I want to fly somewhere, so I'm going to go have lunch. And people very often then start looking at things like Angel Flight and other organizations like that, and rapidly discover that with their 60 to 100 hour ticket, no instrument rating, they're not actually qualified to join many of those organizations. Most of them require at least an instrument rating and usually a number of hours that's above a lot of the people who at least initially are looking to join. And that's one of the things that I think is appealing about Pilots and Paws, is that they don't really have those minimums. And, it's sort of understandable. Obviously, when you're flying people for medical procedures, the hospital doesn't want to hear, well, it's raining today. And so they do tend to require instrument ratings, but for the animal rescue, people tend to be, able to be a bit more flexible. And so there are a lot more opportunities for pilots to go build time and do something maybe a little more productive than having one more hamburger this week.
And we got a hamburger out of it as well today.
We did have a hamburger as well. So
very nice.
We got all of it, and a bit more flying than you normally get for a hamburger. So it is a cool organization. I would encourage anybody that wants a reason to go out and fly, and really who doesn't, to look into it. It's a good one.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, good on you guys for volunteering your time and your treasure and your talent to provide that service for the for these organizations. Very, very cool.
It's always
and
a
again, Pilot, tell us again the organization and how they can contact them.
So www.pilots, the letter N, pause, PAWS.org. Also Pilots and Pause on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook as well. But if you go to pilotsandpause.org, there's the app. The process is all spelled out for you.
Very good. And if they wanted to contact either of you or both directly,
Absolutely.
how would they do that?
I can be reached. Easiest is usually Twitter is just RG Fairbairn, which nobody will spell right, but it's F as
I'll
in
spell it
Frank,
right.
AIRBAIRN. He'll probably get it right. At this point, he might get my first name wrong, but my Twitter handle he'll probably get. Or Instagram is just Robert Fairbairn, all one word, my name. Either of those will work, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody that wants to.
And if you're listening to this show for the first time, then you wouldn't know that my Twitter handle is HI11E1. It looks like Hillel, but those are ones instead of L's. And that's the best way as well to get a hold of me there or on Instagram by the same handle, HI11E1.
That is if he's not busy
in the shower.
In the shower, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, Pilots and Paws does give some swag out if you get in touch with them. I have some backpacks and stickers and a couple of T-shirts. I think they need to kick off their bathrobe line, though. They're missing a sponsorship opportunity here.
Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of that, it is co-sponsored or whatever by PetMate, which is a manufacturer of pet products. And just for those that are even thinking about it, like you might think, well, I don't have a harness, I don't have a cage or a crate. They will give you for free all of that stuff that you would need. I've got a warehouse full of, I've got 2 large crates, and I've got baby wipes that are meant for animals that are, and things to pick up if you need to take them to the bathroom or whatever. And so they'll just, and you call them up or text them or whatever, email and say, hey, I had to give away my such and such when I dropped this dog off. Can I get another one? UPS shows up 3-4 days later and there's your replacement. So they're really, really quite an operation.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking the time on a Friday night, prime time, Friday evening to talk to the community.
There's nothing else happening in the world right now. I mean, nothing of any.
Yeah, nothing.
Who cares about this? Come on. Everything is just fine. It's just fine.
Everything is fine. Nothing to see anywhere. Okay. Well, thanks, guys. And back to you all in the studio. Hey, didn't hear a word I said.
He just said, back to you in the studio.
Okay, good. I was trying to read my own lips because I do remember saying that.
Well done.
Okay.
Wonderful segment. That was really cool. I'm glad they.
I don't remember anything that I said.
Yeah, it's marvelous of Robert and Hillel to give their time like that. It's fantastic.
I did laugh a little bit when they were talking about the dogs just falling asleep in the aircraft, because that's been my experience as well. Anytime I've had a dog or a pet in the airplane, I was really worried the first time that they were going to, jump around and be all over the place. And no, I had a dog, a big 85-pound mixed breed dog that I did take in the airplane a couple of times. He would sit there, look out the window for a few minutes, curl up on the back seat, fall asleep, wake up right on short final, put his nose in your ear.
Nothing to see here.
Like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Where are we?
Are we there yet? Yeah. So that did make me laugh a little.
Yeah, I thought that would be an interesting thing to share with the community.
And good information. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who are looking for a purpose for flying sometimes, and that's a very worthy one.
It certainly is. And thanks again, Rob and Hillel, for joining me, doing that little recording. Much appreciated. Okay, let's continue on with 4. Stephen. Hey, APG crew. I'm a long-time listener, but first-time feedbacker. I enjoyed the discussion on long flights in GA aircraft in episode 444 and wanted to share my own experience there. Much like Dr. Steph, my longest GA flight to date was in an older Cessna 172, mine in a 1976 Mike model with an STC for a 180 horsepower engine. I flew it from Tri-Cities Airport in Tennessee, KTRI, to Lancaster, PA, KLNS. I was taking my wife and 2 friends to a wedding in PA, and our trip actually started in Greenville, South Carolina, Kilo Golf Mike uniform, where my wife and I lived up until last fall. The STC was particularly useful on this trip since the max gross weight was bumped up to 2,550 pounds, allowing us to fit 4 adults and a duffel bag apiece in the back. We flew from KGMU to KTRI and stayed the night with a friend, the 4th passenger, and finished the trip to Kilo Lima November Sierra the next morning. We enjoyed ourselves at the wedding and flew the trip in reverse the next day. Oh, that's kind of cool. You probably get to see all the scenery.
Yeah, I didn't know. Where's reverse gear on one of those?
Oh, no.
It's like your standard transmission.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reverse.
I've never been
Or
able to
reverse.
find. You mean
1,
you've got
2, 3, 4,
a manual
5,
shift
6.
in those
Oh,
things?
Yeah, definitely in the Cessna 172.
And I guess
M
it
model.
becomes a pusher prop instead of a
Yeah,
tractor.
exactly. I mean, it's a little tricky because you have to like crane your neck around, to
Yeah, I was gonna
Look out
say.
see
the
where you're
back.
going. Get a little sore.
And you tell the passengers in the back, okay, move your heads. I can't see. All right. The longest leg of the trip was from Tri-Cities to Lancaster for a total distance of 375 nautical miles by the routing I selected. And we flew it in 3.7 hours from parking spot to parking spot. It was an IFR trip, so I followed various airways for the fun of it. See attached photo of my route, and that's what we're looking at on the video. We managed to land, and it'll be in the show notes. We managed to land with 9 gallons total usable fuel, exactly 1 hour of reserve, as I had planned.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I always said that regardless of what I landed
That's exactly what I
That's
planned.
exactly what I
Have
planned to land with.
exactly 1 hour of fueling.
Always perfect. All around, it was a great trip, and it really shows how useful and fun general aviation can be. Love the show. Thanks for all the good times the crew shares with all of us aviation geeks. It's really our pleasure. Clear skies, favorable winds, and many IPAs all around, Stephen.
Well, so it's like a great flight, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, very lovely.
very lovely. All right, moving on. This is from Texas and LaShock. Greetings, Captain Jeff and APG crew. So I'm minding my own business a few days ago when somehow I wind up on Popular Mechanics website on a page about a brand new fighter that the Air Force has come out with in absolute secrecy. I guess not anymore. Now, Popular Mechanics has published articles with some pretty outlandish stuff before, but most of those were proposals or concepts people had, and this is saying it's already happened. Then I find an article on defensenews.com about the same thing, so that's 2 sources. A new fighter that has already been designed and flown. And then it gives us a link to that defensenews.com article. Have you heard anything like this? Do you think this is legit? A journalistic error or some kind of misinformation campaign from the Air Force for some reason? It just seemed to come out of nowhere. Looking forward to hearing what you think. This is the Texas and LaShock signing off. And then he ends with a random aviation quote. Goggles down, wing flaps down, tail feathers, and if at first you don't succeed, try again. And that's from Albatross Airlines pre-flight checklist in The Rescuers.
That's a cartoon about mice, isn't it?
I don't know.
Sounds vaguely correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Texas and LaShock. We know what you are.
So the article here talks about the U.S. Air Force has built and flown a mysterious full-scale prototype of its future fighter jet. And the Boeing, Air Force Chief of Staff General David Goldfein sits inside the cockpit of Boeing's T-7 training jet during a January 15, 2019 visit to the company's production facility in St. Louis, Mo. The Boeing T-7 is the first Air Force jet to be produced using digital manufacturing techniques. Yeah, it's all 3D printed. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true. Probably parts of it are, I would imagine. The U.S. Air Force has secretly designed, built, and flown its enigmatic next-generation fighter jet. The service's top acquisition official confirmed to Defense News on September 14th. The development is certain to shock the defense community, which last saw the first flight of an experimental fighter during the battle for the Joint Strike Fighter contract 20 years ago. With the Air Force's future fighter program still in its infancy, the rollout and successful first flight of a demonstrator was not expected for years. Quote, "We've already built and flown a full-scale flight demonstrator in the real world, and we broke records in doing it," Will Roper told Defense News in an exclusive interview ahead of the Air Force Association's Airspace and Cyber Conference. "We are ready to go and build the next generation aircraft in a way that has never happened before. Almost every detail about the aircraft itself will remain a mystery due to the classification of the next generation air dominance program." The
I mean, they could tell you,
yeah,
but
well,
doesn't
then
have to
they'd
kill you.
Yeah, but I like that air dominance program. The Air Force's effort for fielding a family of connected air warfare systems that could include fighters, drones, and other networked platforms in space or the cyber realm, specifically Facebook. Roper declined to comment on how, I just added that Facebook part there. Roper declined to comment on how many prototype aircraft have been flown or which defense contractors manufactured them. He wouldn't say when or where the first flight occurred, and he refused to divulge any aspect of the aircraft's design, its mission, whether it was uncrewed or optionally crewed. That would be CREWED, not CRUDE. Whether it would fly at hypersonic speeds or if it has stealth characteristics. He says those attributes are beside the point.
So basically, he wasn't saying anything.
He said
No.
nothing.
Pretty much. He used a lot of words.
Can you
Probably a
tell
lot
us how many have been flown? No.
Yeah.
The contractors you manufacture? No.
No.
Where? No. When?
No.
No.
Nope.
Any aspect of its design? Nope.
No.
Type of mission? No.
But we have done it. Trust me.
But we've done it. We're the government. You're going to have to take our word on that.
Yes. So anyway, there's more to this article, of course.
Oh, really? I don't think there's been much to it as yet. But...
Well, I mean, there are more words.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right.
But as Nick astutely pointed out, no, they don't really say anything else. They talk about a lot of other programs in the past and how this one is nothing like them. But yeah, that's it. I have not heard a thing about this. Have you, Nick?
Nope. Well, other than there's something is going, there's bound to be a next generation airplane going on because either that you stop developing airplanes because it's about the right time for the next cycle, and if it's something that's going to be a bit of a jump up in capability, they're not going to say much about it till they know it works. So.
Yeah. True. Well, interesting stuff. We'll have this article in the show notes if you care to. If you do figure out what they're trying to say there, let us know. Send us some feedback.
Yes.
If you can divulge any information,
yeah,
we'd be interested.
Yes, we would. And we will not tell anybody that you told us about it. And we won't.
I mean, we'll just keep it right here amongst ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
On air.
Or if we do talk about it on air, then we'll just say it's from someone who is anonymous.
Anonymous sources.
Who lives in Fort Worth, Texas. Just kidding. All right. You know what time it is? It's the best part of the show time. That's no. It's not the end of the show. About 2/3 of the way through, and we're going to control yourself, sir.
Sorry.
It is this week's installment of the Plain Tale entitled "You Couldn't Give 'Em Away." You talking about me?
The old pilot's plain tales. You couldn't give 'em away. I've done plenty of tales about the triumphant aircraft of World War II that fought in the skies over Europe, Africa, Russia, and the Far East. Aircraft like the Supermarine Spitfire, Hawker Hurricane, Messerschmitt Bf-109, Focke-Wulf 190, P-51 Mustang, Ilyushin IL-2 Stamovic, Vought F4U Corsair, Lockheed P-38 Lightning, Mitsubishi Zero, Grumman Wildcat, and I'm sure that you have your favorites as well. Quite naturally, I guess, not so much is known about the horrible failures. Aircraft that, despite having well-recognized flaws, were flown by the bravest of pilots, those who knew that they had little chance of surviving combat in their awful machines. There were a surprisingly high number of them, as it seems there were unscrupulous manufacturers out there who put making a buck above the lives of the airmen who would have to fly their creations. Not all of the aircraft we will look at are in that category by any means. Many were just misguided ideas, old designs, or put into the wrong role, but some are. Now let's start with a couple suggested by our fine friend, Main Man Micah. The Vultee P-66 Vanguard and the Bell P-39 Airacobra. The Vanguard was a single-seat, low-winged monoplane powered by a Pratt & Whitney 14-cylinder twin-row radial engine that looked quite reasonable on paper. It first flew in 1939, the same year that marked the beginning of the war, and it had a top speed of 340 miles an hour, the same as the Hurricane. It came in several versions. Some were trainers and others fighters, but the first prototype had a mishap when it collided with a Lockheed Cirrus while landing, severing an undercarriage leg, which was something of a portent for things to come. It had teething problems, such as a lack of cooling for the engine, which was cured by a cowling redesign. However, the Swedish government ordered 144 of them. All well and good until when in 1941, as production deliveries were about to start, the US government decided it was going to embargo exports to Sweden. 50 were retained by the US Army Air Force to be used at pursuit training bases, and although the pilots thought them maneuverable, they proved to be rather fragile, with a strong tendency to ground loop, which fairly quickly wrecked 15 of them. The British government showed an interest in obtaining 100 of the newly designated P-66, but after trials they decided they were better off with their own fighters, so the aircraft were relinquished to China under the Lend-Lease program. Thus began the troubled aircraft's long journey to the Far East. The aircraft were shipped to Karachi, then in India, now in Pakistan. The plan was to assemble them there and then fly them to Chengdu in China. The debacle that followed was rather fitting for this unfortunate aircraft. After reassembly, several were crashed during trial flights by Chinese pilots unfamiliar with the unforgiving nature of this tail dragger. A mid-air collision watched by dozens at Karachi snuffed out the lives of 2 Chinese pilots in an instant. More of the planes were lost while being ferried to China, and still more were simply stored in Karachi's colossal dirigible hangar, short on parts or plagued with structural problems until they just rotted away. Out of the 129 aircraft shipped, only 79 made it to an engagement on the 21st of November 1943, when they shot down an Oscar and 2 of their own P-66 Vanguards, since the 2 aircraft types looked strikingly similar. Today there is no known example of a P-66 to be found anywhere in the world. The Bell Airacobra was a singularly unusual design, and in service with the United States in considerable numbers, such that when joining the war in 1941 it was the principal American fighter in service. It differed from many other types flying at the time by having a tricycle undercarriage, which eliminated many of the difficulties new pilots had in dealing with the swing that tail-wheeled aircraft have during takeoff. The first was the swing that occurred when applying power due to the torque of the propeller and the spiral slipstream it creates. The second was the precessed gyroscopic effect that occurs when the tail's lifted. These control problems were removed, or at least lessened, by the presence of a nose wheel. From outside, the fighter looked conventional enough. It was an all-metal, low-wing, single-engine aircraft with a sleek, low-drag profile. and designed to fulfill the Air Corps' tactical school requirements for the tactical mission of interception and attack of hostile aircraft at high altitude. For reasons that will become obvious, the cockpit was positioned quite high, which gave the pilot a good view of the world, but the canopy was fixed in position over the pilot's head, and access was achieved via a side door, a bit like a car. It even had wind-down windows. This made abandoning the aircraft trickier than for more conventional fighters of the time. Specifications called for heavy armament, including a cannon, a glycol-cooled Allison engine with a General Electric turbo supercharger, tricycle landing gear, a level speed of at least 360 miles an hour at altitude, and a climb to 20,000 feet within 6 minutes. Bell had limited experience at fighter design and approached the task from an unusual direction, placing the need to accommodate the armament first and then designing the rest of the aircraft around it. Having settled on the Oldsmobile T9 37mm cannon as the primary weapon, it was placed in the center of the propeller hub to give it optimum accuracy and stability. The size and location of this formidable weapon, which fired a 1¼ pound, that's more than half a kilo, of high explosive armor-piercing round in the nose, required a novel approach for the position of the engine. Although devastating when it worked, the T9 cannon had very limited ammunition, a low rate of fire, and was rather prone to jamming. The big Allison V12 engine was fitted almost like an afterthought and put mid-fuselage behind the cockpit with a 10-foot, that's 3-meter, long drive shaft running through a tunnel in the cockpit floor up to the propeller gearbox. In addition, the Airacobra had two 50-caliber Browning machine guns in the nose and 2 more in the wings. Having the mass of the engine in the center of the Airacobra gave it some unwelcome inertial problems should the pilot be unwise enough to mishandle the aircraft into a spin, particularly when low on ammunition when the center of gravity moved aft, as it often developed into an unrecoverable flat spin. Soon after entering service, more problems associated with the center of gravity showed up as pilots began to report that the aircraft would sometimes tumble end over end. The veteran pilot Bob Hoover experienced this and described it in his autobiography. A report into this flaw found that all the testing had been done with full ammunition loads in the front compartments of the nose, but this wasn't really the aircraft's main problem. In order to achieve the required top speed, Bell had fitted a 2-stage turbo supercharger, which was cooled by a large intake on the left side of the fuselage. Without the room to move or better cool the supercharger, the drag was just too much, so Larry Bell took the decision to produce the aircraft with only a single-stage supercharger. The supercharger's critical altitude was about 12,000 feet, above which the performance dropped off rapidly, and because of the unusual engine placement, there was no room for fuel to be kept in the fuselage, only in the wings, which gave the aircraft an uncomfortably short range. This made the Airacobra unsuitable for operations in Europe, where it compared poorly against the fighters in that theatre. The RAF, unaware of these problems, ordered 675 export versions, known as the Bell Model 14 Caribou. What they didn't know was that the performance figures claimed by Bell were achieved with a highly modified aircraft. The elevator and rudder had been reduced in size, special fillets were installed, the canopy was faired in with putty, an exhaust stack fairing was fitted, machine gun ports were smoothed over, the radio antenna mast was removed, and a single-piece engine cowling fitted. The aircraft was then painted with 20 coats of primer and sanded down each time to remove blemishes, and bulging doors were modified to stay flush. The weight was reduced by removing armour and the like to make it lighter. In this condition, the P-39 came within 1% of the RAF's requirements, achieving 391 miles an hour. When the production aircraft began to arrive, which had none of these special modifications, they revealed a top speed of only 355 miles an hour. The cockpit layout was criticised. It was noted that the pilot would have difficulty in bailing out, and the lack of a clear vision panel on the windscreen assembly meant that in heavy rain the pilot's forward view would be completely obliterated. The pilot's notes advised that in the event of this, the door windows should have to be lowered and the speed reduced to 150 miles an hour. The RAF's Aero Cobras served with only one squadron, number 601. A combination of poor serviceability and deep distrust of this unfamiliar fighter resulted in the RAF rejecting the type after only one combat mission. In March 1942, the unit re-equipped with Spitfires. Some of the aircraft destined to come to Britain were requisitioned by the United States, renamed the P-400, and sent to the 5th and 13th Air Forces in the Pacific. Despite its limitations in altitude and range, the much maligned aircraft claimed around 80 kills of Japanese aircraft, and some pilots became aces flying it. Although the Aerocobra's low-altitude performance was good and its firepower impressive, regardless it soon became a joke in the Pacific theatre that a P-400 was a P-40 with a 0 on its tail. The remainder of the aircraft were packed off to the Soviet Union and flown by the Red Air Force. They received the much improved N and Q models, and since the tactical missions flown didn't require high-level performance, they did better than expected. The Soviet pilots appreciated the aircraft's strengths and developed successful tactics that suited the aircraft, that they called the Little Cobra. They had no problems engaging the Ju-87 Stukas or the early versions of the Messerschmitt Bf-109s. When they received their later Aerocobras with the M4 37mm cannon and 4 machine guns, they immediately removed the wing-mounted guns, leaving 2 machine guns and the cannon in the nose. This improved the aircraft's roll rate considerably, making it much more agile. But the cannon only carried 30 rounds and was slow at 3 rounds a second. But despite this, the aircraft was primarily used for air-to-air combat. 5 of the highest-scoring Soviet aces logged the majority of their kills in P-39s. A total of 4,719 P-39s were sent to the Soviet Union, accounting for more than a third of all the US and UK supplied aircraft, and they served with the Red Air Force until as late as 1949. Other air forces had occasion to use this flawed fighter. The Royal Australian Air Force borrowed 23 from the US 5th Air Force to use as a stopgap interceptor in the rear areas and for defence of Darwin. As soon as possible, they were replaced with the Vultee Vengeance dive bombers and the indigenous Commonwealth Aircraft Corporation Boomerang. Hardly a brilliant upgrade, as they were only really useful in the ground attack role. And from early 1943, they acquired a wing of Spitfires to supplement the Curtiss Kitty Hawk squadrons that were fighting in New Guinea. France had ordered Aerocobras, but after they capitulated and cooperated with Germany, they were not delivered. However, Free French forces fighting in North Africa were equipped with Allied weapons, including 3 squadrons of P-39s. The fighter was never popular with the French pilots and was subsequently replaced with P-47 Thunderbolts. Italy also received some to arm the royalist Italian co-belligerent air force. The aircraft didn't serve them particularly well, and in 3 months there were 11 accidents due to engine failures and the poor condition of their base. Sadly, 2 pilots were seriously injured and 3 died, one of whom was Sergente Maggiore Tarasio Vittorio Martinoli, the famous Italian ace of aces. Under unusual circumstances, some Airacobras were operated by the Portuguese army. As part of Operation Torch, the invasion of North Africa, the 81st and 305th Fighter Groups were dispatched to airfields in North Africa. But due to a number of mechanical difficulties, many aircraft were forced to land in Portugal and Spain, who were generally maintaining neutrality. The 19 P-39 Airacobras, plus a single P-38 Lightning that landed in Portugal, were interned and then put into service with the Portuguese army. Although the United States made no request for payment, the Portuguese government paid $20,000 for each interned aircraft, for which the US gifted 4 additional crates of aircraft, but without supplying spares, flight manuals, or service manuals. Without proper training and documentation, the operation of these aircraft proved to be a nightmare for the Army Military Aviation Wing, and the aircraft was plagued with problems. However, 6 remained in service until 1950, when they were sold for scrap. The P-38 had a short reprieve from obscurity in the US after the war, when 3 Bell aircraft test pilots, Slick Goodlin, Tex Johnson, and Jack Willems, extensively modified 2 of them and then raced the renamed Cobra 1 and Cobra 2 in the national air races. With the more powerful P-63 engine and using prototype propeller blades from the Bell factory, the aircraft could reach around 400 miles an hour. But on a test flight over Lake Ontario, Cobra 1 suddenly and inexplicably crashed into the water, breaking apart on impact and killing Jack Willems. Tex Johnson flew Cobra 2 in the race and unexpectedly beat the favourites, who were flying race-modified P-51 Mustangs. In 1968, owner-pilot Mike Carrolls flew Cobra 2 again in a test flight before attempting to break the world piston engine airspeed record, but like Willems, he was also killed in an unexpected crash. Unlike the P-66 Vanguard, several Airacobras can still be seen in various locations around the world, including Mariba, Australia, Edmonton, Canada, Finland, Papua New Guinea, Yakutsk in Russia, and a number in the United States, including the wonderfully named Air Zoo in Kalamazoo. Yeehaw!
So let me ask you a question, Nick.
Yes, sir.
So when you think of that music, you think of Americans? Is that what in your head? Or a bunch of hillbillies over here?
We're all listening to banjo.
Well, I think
Someone give me my hat.
I think the hillbillies probably built those airplanes. That was the connection.
Okay.
Some in the chat room have noticed that.
I like the music, but I'm just
Mike
wondering.
Carroll's part of our APG community was mentioned.
Oh, it's so sad. I told
Yeah,
Mike
it was a pity he's dead. I didn't know that.
I told Mike not to do it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well,
didn't listen.
that Airacobra was an odd airplane. I mean, who would think to stick the engine behind the pilot?
That is odd.
Yeah,
It's a big old engine, though.
yeah,
And those
it
are
was.
big shells. What was the caliber on that? 30?
37 millimeters.
Holy-
So that's pretty much it's a small artillery shell.
Put a hole in
They're
something.
huge.
You know.
But
Yeah,
only,
you're right.
3 per second and only 30, and so that's like 10 seconds worth of shooting the cannon, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't uncommon for the aircraft at the time. It was the rate of fire that was so slow that was the problem. You had to be pretty accurate when you were pulling the trigger because it wasn't spitting out many rounds. But it only took one to hit him. I
Yeah,
think.
one will do it.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, but I think it was just the design of the engine and the lack of the second stage supercharger. Because an aircraft that whose performance faded above 12,000 feet was going to be pretty useless in a lot of theaters. Because we're talking now about bombers and fighters up at 25,000 feet, 30,000 feet, easy. At that period. So an aircraft that really had a ceiling of around 12,000 feet.
But it sounds like it didn't have that bad of a record. I mean, there were a lot of aces, and how many of
Yeah,
those things
well,
did the Russians get? Like close to 5,000?
They did. They got a lot of
That's
them.
amazing.
That's
a lot of airplanes.
They and their guys shot down quite a few aircraft. But the Stuka was not a big competition for a fighter, and a lot of the later Japanese pilots were not considered their best. So the Japanese theater, you guys outnumbered them, and
so what you're saying is that was one of the best fighters that they had in World War II. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm trying to say that if it had been put into Europe, it would have been absolutely slaughtered.
Okay.
It wasn't really. Neither of them were really great airplanes.
Okay.
But there you go. I mean, that's not my opinion. That's the opinion of the experts that knew about the airplane and what I've read and researched.
Yeah.
But
I'd never even heard of
I'm
that.
quite willing to accept that some people might have loved it. I don't think there were many around. A lot of air forces had a look at it and decided it was a piece of junk.
I'm gonna take a pass on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. But don't worry, I'm going to take on the British pieces of junk next time, and there were quite a few. So I'm not just going to have two. There's going to be a good handful.
Yeah, I hope we have the same music for your.
Yeah, I think that's what I think. Like when I hear that music, I think of Great Britain.
Really? I was going to have something
British
like
people,
some Morris
Englishmen.
dancing music. But I tell you, the amusing thing about one of the airplanes I'm going to cover next week was that I went to an old Air Force friend of mine who lives not far away. And in his garden, he's got a beautiful wrought iron sun house, which rotates. So it's glazed wrought iron frame, and you can turn the whole thing so it faces the sun. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it was built by a company called Bolton Paul. And Bolton Paul also built a fighter for the British Air Force.
Wow.
So that it was not an ideal airplane.
Gotcha.
Not ideal.
No, ideal. No.
Well, I can't wait.
It wasn't
to hear
made
about
of
that one.
cast iron, but close.
Okay. It was ceramic covered cast iron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it sounds fancy.
Just like
Just
the
real
Le
quick.
Creuset.
Looping back to Mike Carroll's. He is alive and well and is apparently recording the next episode of his podcast
goodness.
this evening. Was that
Yeah,
correct? Did I hear that earlier? So yes, different Mike Carroll's.
The Mike Carrolls I was talking about was Carrolls with the C, not with a K.
Okay. So it'd be Mike Carroll's.
As opposed to Mike
As
Carroll's.
opposed to, there's a subtle difference. Carroll's. All right.
Got that?
didn't realize
Everyone
you-
got that?
Got
His
it.
name was going to be mentioned so many times. In
You're
today's
welcome.
show. Yeah, please stay tuned
Fine.
if you're watching this live.
And yes, Colin, I am going to talk about the defiant, defied nobody.
Okay. Well, let's continue on. What do you say? Thanks again, Nick. Another great one.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it.
And
And thanks to Main Man Micah, of course.
Yes, thank
His
you, Man
design.
Micah, for the inspiration. We hope you're doing better.
Absolutely.
Okay. Texas Charlie says, evidence that this has all happened before. Tragic that such a magnificent species was taken down by a microscopic foe. But if not for the mighty Avianosaurus being brought down in the early Covidocene period. The elusive Zoomopterus might never have come to dominate the business meeting areas of the planet. Such is the will of Mother Nature. And you'll have to look at this photo in the show notes. If you're watching the video, you're seeing it on screen now.
That's very good, isn't it?
It is. Sad, though. Really?
So sad.
It is.
I imagine that's what like the boneyards of Arizona and Southern California will look like in another 200 years.
Another 20 years.
Just 20 years. No, okay.
Probably. Now, the question is that a Boeing or an Airbus?
It looks more like a jungle jet to me.
Ah.
Yeah. The fin at the back is interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Texas Charlie, for that. Continuing on with Hamish makes another appearance on today's show. Robert Fairbairn in the video. This is not the same one. This is a different Hamish.
Different Hamish.
Wait,
Yeah.
control room is. Oh, good thing you can't hear her. We couldn't use that kind of language on our show.
Yeah, it says best regards, Hotel Kilo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, wait, that's right. This is not opposing bases, by the way. We actually
you're
use
allowed
real
to
names
use your
here.
name on this show.
Yeah, we're not anonymous
Yeah.
here.
Anyway, hi guys. Feedback on APG 442. Narita Airport is a plane spotter's heaven. Right at the threshold of 34 left is an excellent airport museum. It appears to be a control tower, but that is actually the aircraft spotting tower, complete with an announcer and restaurant. I wonder if the announcer is announcing in Japanese or
Probably.
yeah. You can watch the activity on 34 left and the cargo area. Nick may like the sliced up 747 fuselage and wing. Yeah, he always revels in.
I do. You're quite right.
747 destruction.
Yes.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
That's enough. There's also an early B777 simulator with single motion display. Costs around. I wonder which motion it is.
Just up.
Just up and down. Cost around $25 for 15 minutes with the instructor.
And another $75 to come down again.
Yes. Getting there is the usual Japanese efficiency of a regular bus from the terminal and also a direct bus from Tokyo. Best regards, Hotel Kilo, but we like to call him Hamish. And that's not Robert Fairbairn. That's a different one.
Different Hamish. Yeah.
Post-COVID meetup, Liz is saying. Yeah, for sure.
And if you're going to go there, then take time out to go to Narita town and visit Ramen Noodles for some hot chili soup, hot chili noodle soup with a little bit of sliced smoked chicken on top and a good chili cold beer.
Making me hungry. My
I am hungry.
stomach's going to start
It is
growling.
delicious.
It's definitely dinner time here.
Oh, by the way, this show is brought to you by Slingsby
Slingsby,
Gin.
they're an aircraft manufacturer.
They are.
They are.
Sling.
Yeah, I received this from our good friend, Captain Al, your pal, our pal, Captain Al.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
last,
wow.
July? And
When he was here.
yeah, what was it called?
Oshkosh.
Oshkosh, that's it. Airborne.
Cool.
You know, that large gathering of
I know. I should probably know
people
it.
in airplanes
Yeah, thank
in
you.
Wisconsin.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. We're in Wisconsin. Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, I knew we were in Oshkosh. I had no idea.
Oh, you didn't
where
know that
Oshkosh
You didn't know what
Wisconsin.
state you're
No,
in?
that's right.
No
Nick
one
was in
bothered
the
to
back
tell
of
you?
the RV when we crossed
was
the
it
border.
important?
He was in the
Not
bathroom.
really.
Okay.
And I yelled. I don't know. You didn't hear me because all the noise you were making.
I was
I yelled at-
screaming because we were being
We're in
hit by
Wisconsin!
trash bins and we're swerving around cars.
That was before we
and-
got to Wisconsin. You were
That was Illinois.
traumatized. I mean, Illinois is traumatizing to a lot of people just on its own. But with the trash cans thrown in,
Yeah.
Oh,
Flying
yeah.
trash cans.
no, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What I mean is people from Illinois are.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what we call
Understandable.
the sky van, the flying trash can.
that is what it is, by the way.
Yeah,
Flying
it is.
dumpster. And before anyone gets too offended, I'm from Illinois originally. So,
Right.
yes,
That's why we're
I know.
making fun of them.
Yes.
You know what? Honestly, I don't remember. Do I have, Liz, do I have some videos for this one?
Looks like there's 2 videos.
Because I see 2 movies here. I don't know what they are. Okay. Well, maybe I should look myself.
Well, one's a Shackleton with its engines running.
Yes, I do have those.
And the others...
See, I did a lot of prep work several days ago, and I've already...
And then you forgot?
I've forgotten completely about what they are.
Well, you had to make room in the brain for all the new information.
Yeah, I
about
know,
the
I
airplane.
did. And it's got all this stuff just got pushed out. So next time I'll just put some kind of a note there what it is that I have in the video clip thing. Okay. Now we recover. This is from Joel, just catching up. Hi to all the crew. I've been catching up on all the podcasts I missed while I was off the road, and I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, I'm very sorry to hear about Captain Nick's dad passing away. The plain tales you made together about his career are definitely some of my favorites, and your tribute to him was excellent and touching.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
Sorry that Jeff and Dana have been out of work for so long. Don't be sorry. I hope you return to the skies very soon. You may not be asked to be. It's kind of going to be dangerous up there. Great to have Miami Rick back on the show. I always enjoy listening to his explanations and opinions. They also double up as a great sleeping aid. Wow.
Sorry, Rick's not here to hear it. He won't.
Good thing Rick's not here to hear that. Yes, he's asleep somewhere. Question for Steph. Will the turboprop flying lead to something more permanent, or is it just a weekend thing? I would love to ride right seat passenger in the Caravan. I'm jealous.
It's a good question. I don't know that I have an answer to you. For now, it's just a weekend thing, but you never know what the future holds.
I can't wait to fly co-pilot or just sit in the right seat.
Yeah,
And
we should.
Captain
Make
Steph
sure you
is-
strap in because she's going to throw you out if you're not.
That's true.
Yeah. Did you specify which you wanted to sit in the right seat? You said must be fine.
Yeah, right seat.
We don't throw anyone out of that seat usually.
Good. And let's see. Okay. I've included a couple of videos of today's outing to Gatwick Aviation Museum. They have an ex-Saudi English Electric Lightning and an ex-RAF Shackleton, which they did engine runs with. Both aircraft were serviceable, and it was a brilliant day out. Keep up the good work, guys. You keep me company on my long journeys around the UK. Blue skies and tailwinds. All the best from Joel Billy Whiz. And should we do the... I believe that's the Saudi jet. Kind of loud in here. Shut it down. Shut it down. It's too noisy.
Gray noisy
No, not
thing.
you. I was talking to the... Sorry. Yeah, Shackleton, please. Yeah, I love that.
I love those props.
Yeah, crazy. I'm sorry, I can't hear anything. What?
Huh?
Huh?
That aircraft was nicknamed 20,000 Rivets Flying in Loose Formation.
You know what I have to say? This was a British airplane.
Yeah, the Shackleton, it was a
Yeah.
development of the Lancaster.
You know, I hate to point this out, but looks like they got the props on backwards or something on all the engines. So you have counter rotating propellers on each engine.
Yep.
Does that mean that there's no P factor and no critical engine? Is that one of the benefits of doing
How about
it
you
like
explain that to us, Jeff?
that? I'm not going to do that. Let me tell you all about P factor. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Thank you very much. Anyway, very cool. I love that sound of those engines. Those are great.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, thank you, Joel, for sharing that with us. And moving on to Stefan. He says, he sent in some audio feedback. Let's see. Do I need to read any of this before I play the... Nope. Okay.
Probably not.
Here we go. Let's hear from
He speaks
Stefan.
English. You'll be all right.
Just barely. No, I'm just kidding. He speaks very good English. just kidding, Stefan.
Hello, APG team. Hello, Captain Jeff. Especially hi to Liz. I have heard you the first time when we were asking for feedback. This is Stefan from Germany calling. And Liz was asking for feedback. Episode 444, the question of Thomas, chapter 16. He were asking the following. Why, as the only airline he was giving the example New York, but he was mentioning worldwide, is doing a non-standard readback of clearance. Every airline apparently in New York reads back first the clearance and then they give their own call sign. Lufthansa does it the other way around. When the tower clears Lufthansa aircraft for takeoff, the crew replies Lufthansa 401 clear for takeoff. He's saying that it's non-standard. Well, is it really non-standard? So I was digging deeply into our documentation. And, well, you find both. The documentation which I have are so old, but still valid, by the way, but they are so old that they're using examples with call signs like Clipper 123 or TWA Flight 405, airlines which doesn't exist anymore for 30-something years. Even newer documentation, like we have the radio telephony manual of CAP of the UK, is called CAP 413. They're given examples when read back first clearance and then the call sign, so the other way around Lufthansa does it. Then they have the document 9432 of the ICAO manual from apparently 2007. Newer editions are mostly behind a paywall, which I cannot reach. They are also giving examples where the crew giving first the clearance and then the call sign at the end. So the opposite Lufthansa does it. But at the same page, on the same example they're giving, there's also this chapter, it's called, I say it here, 2837, so 2.8.3.7. An aircraft should terminate the readback by its call sign. It's confusing. I ask colleague and they say, well, you can do both. You can do first call sign, then clearance, or first clearance and then call sign. The only reason is the only thing is you have to have your call sign in the clearance. And why Lufthansa does it so stringent with always first the call sign readback is because we are teaching it that way. And this is because of an agreement of some 10 plus years ago that LH apparently got an agreement with the German ATC units to do it that way. You had a discussion about it, what is better, first the clearance or first the call sign. So, but they did an agreement that in Germany they like to have it this way, and apparently Lufthansa says, okay, we do it that way. We think it's also nice. You know, it's a 50-50 chance, whatever is better. So, but their standard in Germany is because it's allowed. It's not against any rules to do when read back first the call sign and then the clearance. Then there was an amendment. Jeff mentioned it 5 years ago about the clearances, but it had nothing to do what shall we do first when read back. It was only new regulations and specifications when you're getting a conditional clearance, like land behind next aircraft or take off behind departing aircraft or whatever. But so to make it long story short, you can do it either way. And apparently the Germans do it, well, they do it this way, and it's not wrong. I hope it's a good feedback, a little bit complicated to explain. It took me 4 hours to find that out, and I enjoyed your show. Have a great time, and talk to you next. Lots of tailwind. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stefan, for that. So I guess to bring it back around full circle, Thomas, you can't really say that they're doing it wrong. It's just they're doing it differently, I guess. And I've tried the last couple of days, doing my pretend radio calls in the flight procedures trainer. I've tried to change the way that I do it, and it's so now ingrained in me to say my call sign first, because I was thinking I was doing it the right way. And I'm trying to save everything, my call sign for the end of everything, and I'm finding it very difficult to do. But I guess over time I'll get used to it. Yes.
Well, I always used to forget my call sign. By the time I got to the end, I'd be going, I haven't a clue. I've said so much stuff now. I haven't a clue what to call.
And then you got to remember all the stuff you already said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you go. What did I just say?
Yeah.
But having said that, for me, it's a much better idea because it separates you from the transmission that air traffic made.
Yeah,
so
we made
I
that
like
point
the logic
on the last episode, and I agree with it. I agree with you. It's just now hard for me to change the way I've been doing it, but I'll figure it out maybe one of these days.
I know what
Jeff, you've really got a couple of years. I shouldn't bother.
Yeah, just you've been doing it that way for so
just
long,
leave it.
and
Just
you
do
only
it
have
the
that
way
much
I've
left to
been
go.
doing
Because at the end of the day, to be perfectly honest, the point is communication, right? So as long as communication has taken place and everyone's clear on what's going on.
Well, I'm not sure about that last part you just mentioned, but yeah.
Well, I mean,
as long
if
as
it's
you're
not clear,
saying
then
stuff.
change what you're doing.
You know what I learned in the Air Force? It doesn't really matter what you say. Just sound like you know what you're talking about.
Be confident.
Yep. And if you're like terrorized, you want to scream and cry, you just wait until you've stopped the transmission. And that's when you start whimpering.
But I do acknowledge that the Germans have a wonderful way of doing everything backwards.
Okay. Captain Nick at Airline Pilot Guide.
How many countries have we offended on the show? A few.
Nearly 50%.
At least 50%.
And you know what, Stefan, I'm just kidding about your English is amazing. So thank you very much. I was just joking around. Okay. 10, Kyle. Good afternoon. A coworker of mine just sent me this heading north out of Atlanta on I-75 a few minutes ago. Thought you guys might like it. It looks like a MiG-27 to me. I don't know.
In pieces.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that look like a MiG-27?
No.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's heading to my house. It's actually in the backyard.
Surely
display.
he's jesting. It's a MiG-21.
Oh, MiG-21. Oh.
Yeah, fish bed.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Maybe it was just a
trust you.
typo.
Yeah. Could have been.
Or could it be, maybe I'm just misreading it. Maybe it actually says MiG-21.
I don't know.
It doesn't say that, but okay. I'm just reading what he sent us. Thank you, Kyle. Now this one is interesting. This is from Henry, or Henri, if he's from France. He says, "I'm
love the
what's that? Love
the shorts.
Thank you. I got them just for you." Okay. I'm a new listener.
You're gonna have to insert whatever that was into the actual podcast, so we will know.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. I'm a new listener and Nav Geek.
He dresses to the left.
Yeah. I'm so glad I found this podcast. I listen to it often as I walk my daily 5-mile trek before work as a corporate training manager for a leading U.S. service company based in Mason, Ohio. I appreciate the pictures and the getting to know you segments because it helps to have a face to imagine with the voice. But Captain Jeff, you sound exactly like Thomas Lennon, who played Lieutenant Dangle in
dresses to the left.
Yeah, you've already mentioned that. Reno 911, a U.S. TV series about the Reno Sheriff's Department, Reno, Nevada. It's a very funny show, and Lieutenant Dangle is a big part of it. Not only,
I watched a decent amount of that show, but
Yeah.
I can't remember for the life of me that his voice sounded like yours. I'll have to
no,
go back
I
and
listened to it too. Yeah, Liz is saying the same thing. She says, I'm not hearing it either. He says, not only is your voice like his, Jeff, but even your phrasing and humor, so much that I picture him leading the podcast. Okay.
Oh, Henry, I like this very much. That's very fun.
If you're unfamiliar, I've attached his photo. Liz already put that up. There you go. And link to a clip featuring him. Love you guys. Favorable tailwinds and only light chop to all of you. And then he sent us a link, YouTube link, where you can watch one of the episodes. And yeah, it got me going. I watched that one, and then there were some other
Down the rabbit hole
episodes.
of
Yeah,
Reno
the rabbit
911.
hole was, yeah, definitely. But yes, this character, Lieutenant Dangle, is in very, very short shorts. And honestly, that's the kind of the kind of shorts that I was wearing when I was a line boy at some of these FBOs I worked at.
So you're not so far off, Henry.
No, he's not. Of course, I didn't have.
Do you have the
I didn't have
aviators and the mustache at the time too?
Yes, but I didn't have his big
Knew it.
gun.
But the guns.
Okay. Ba-doom, bam. Come on, Liz, recover. All right. Brian, this is a good one. In fact, I even showed this to my instructor on day one. He had not seen this. Brian H. Says, hey, Jeff, as you begin your training on the 717, my guess is you will be seeing this video as part of that training. No, not a lot of them have seen this. But feel free to share with the APG community, as it looks like a pretty wild ride. And on the topic of test pilots, has there been an APG episode where being a test pilot has been discussed? I can certainly see Rick taking on that challenge at some point in his career. Hey, every flight that Rick goes on is a test flight. Just saying. Love the show, wow. Brian H. And then he sent this link to from avgeekery.com. The time a Boeing 717 went inverted during testing. And it says here, yes, this is a real
only
video.
went to 160 degrees of bank. That's all. That's not it.
Yeah, and Nick and I were discussing this because I said to him, if that unusual attitude recovery, I think I would have done a little bit different. Of course, I wasn't there, so who knows really what I would do. Anyway, during the stall testing of the 717 program, formerly the MD-95, the aircraft departed controlled flight. That's a nice way to say that the jet stalled, rolled, and went inverted. The test pilots on board masterfully recovered the jet and survived to live another day. And so the video is, I don't think I included that as a video clip, did I? No. Okay. So we'll put this link in the show notes, and you can take a look at it. And it is, his comment, by the way, in the subject line is, looks like a younger Jeff. I guess he's talking about the guy sitting in the captain's seat.
No, I think he's the other guy, the one that's screaming.
Oh, the one that's screaming and crying. Yeah, probably more accurate. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. They do go into a stall and they get into an attitude that they probably were not expecting. Yeah, and
pretty impressive.
Yeah, very.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I read somewhere that said that well, maybe it's here in the text in what I have here in the show notes, but that it probably didn't fly too many times after this flight because there's a 2.5 G
Did they
limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably over G'd the aircraft to pull out of that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have had to. Anyway, so very, very interesting, and you should check it out because it's pretty amazing. And it's real. It's a real video. Okay, and this was the number one 717 off the line. And then
interesting. Of 156 built, 155 remain flying. So, yeah. With the exception of that one that was retired and broken up.
Yeah, that is very impressive. Mm-hmm. Acme has
91.
91, I think. Yeah. How'd you know that?
Because it was in a feedback earlier or in the news or something.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Continuing on, not a lot of time left. Anything that I should do for sure?
Do you want to skip 13 for now? Because I feel like there might be technical stuff we have to
Yeah, you're
could
right.
take some time.
14. Stephen, Jeff and crew, I've recently started a side project of designing original artwork, aviation artwork, geared towards airline pilots and other enthusiasts. As I grow, I'm exploring ideas on how to get my name out there. As a fan of your podcast, I'd be interested in discussing any advertising opportunities you might have. Well, as everybody knows who listens to the show, we do not have advertising on the show, but we do mention projects such as this one from Stephen, from our listeners. And Liz put up a screenshot of his website. It's called Flight Crew Style, and it says flying isn't a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And a lot of good stuff there on the website for sale. And let's see. I told him I'd be happy to mention it to our community if they're interested in checking it out. It's flightcrewstyle.com. I'll have that link in the show notes. And I said, you know what? If you gave us a discount code, that might generate more interest in checking out your site and seeing what you might have there. He's given us a 15% off code that you all can use. It's APG, all capitals, or uppercase, APG15, all together. Okay, all together. Come on, all together. APG.
I had to get back to the right screen to unmute. APG. What? I knew where you were going. I was just sorry. I was
When I
actually
saw all
looking at the
together, I
website.
just thought of airplane.
Airplane. I know. I was there with you. I just fumbling
Where's
through
that?
screens.
And then we have latency. Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what else. He says, "Oh, a quick background on me, if you're curious. I majored in aviation in college and worked as a flight instructor for around 3 years before going to the regionals. After about 3 years in the regionals, I joined the Air National Guard on a full-time status. I got together with my brother and a few former colleagues to create Flight Crew Style after noticing a lack of personalized artwork for pilots and aviation enthusiasts. I'm just as passionate about flying as when I started, and I hope to give back to the community as much as I can. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to return the favor." So, that's Stephen Fabrizio. Check out his site. Lots of really, really good stuff. Aviation art, airport maps, pretty cool looking things that you can display on your walls and stuff. So, again, APG 15 all together. And, yeah.
APG 15.
15.
All together.
All together. No, it was very pathetic.
I know.
You know
That was
what?
I'm sorry.
I don't even think I can fix that in post. And you know, Nick
Just
didn't
let
even
it go.
try.
No, he made no effort.
What was there?
Yeah. Oh, were you? I didn't hear anything.
Oh, well, it's because you're deaf.
Oh.
I didn't hear it
man.
either.
What'd you say?
It's all those noisy
Given-
engines.
I was
just
given
that
it
you keep backing
APG
up.
15.
Uh-huh. Sure you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you fix it
Now,
in
Nick,
post.
that's only one finger you're showing me right now. Okay. Let's see. Which one, Liz? Okay. Captain Dave it is. What was the first U.S. airliner certified for only 2 pilots? Yeah, I haven't even read this one yet. Back in the day of the 727, a flight engineer was required. Some were professional flight engineers, while the newer ones were pilots. Naturally, the airlines wanted to get rid of the flight engineer because they're kind of messy and they smell. A battle ensued. I added that. A battle ensued between the pilot unions and the airlines. The end result was that when the next new airplane was certified, it would be allowed to be certified as a 2-pilot airplane. Then the MD-80 was born. Funny how there were so many versions of the DC-9 that were produced, and finally the next version of the DC-9 was christened as the MD-80, and it was touted as a, quote, new airplane, thus allowing it to be crewed with only 2 pilots. People still today have made references to even the B-717 as a new DC-9 version. It's true, that's what it is. And the pilots lost that battle also. Now, wait a minute. Weren't the original DC-9s 2-pilot airplanes? I don't think they ever had flight engineers, did they?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Let me find out here.
Okay. So we're going to do some research on that. I mean, he might be right. I just thought DC-9s always only had 2 pilots, but maybe not. Let's see. Funny how things change like that. The original intent was for a pilot to experience 10 years as a flight engineer, 10 years as a first officer, then 10 years as a captain for a full career.
I think you're right, Jeff.
Okay.
Wikipedia says DC-9 copy crew 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Pretty much. I'm pretty sure it was always like that. Anyway, yeah, I did a year and a half as a flight engineer, and then 10 years as a first officer, and then the rest as a captain. Let's see. Of course, we all know what will be next. One pilot and a dog, where the dog is trained to bite the hand of the pilot if he tries to touch anything. Thanks, Captain Dave, retired. Was it a cute dog? Little puppy?
Something very vicious.
Yeah. That's right.
Kind of snarling the
Liz
whole
is
time.
making a very good point. This is not a good idea, not a good plan, because the dog goes to sleep once the airplane.
Yes, we found that out.
Airborne.
They seem vicious, but the dog's just like,
Yeah, it doesn't want to
Snooze
mess with
time.
anything. I'm just going to take a nap until it's time to land. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks, Captain Dave. Appreciate that. And I think that's going to do it for the show this week. And if you're a new listener, welcome to the community. That's really the best part about all this stuff. We just do the show every week as an excuse to communicate to our community. And if you want to find out more information about it, you can head over to our amazing website, airlinepilotguide.com. It's amazing because it's still up and running. And learn about the APG crew, the community, the coffee fund. We have a library with Miss Tiffany, our APG librarian, managing that. We have the calendar, the APG community calendar, where you can find out information about what's going on in the community. And Plain Tales, if you want to learn more about each episode of the Plain Tales, Nick spends even more time putting in photos and other information to support the Plain Tale. And merchandise, if you're interested in getting a Acme Air t-shirt or coffee mug or iPhone case or something like that, all that stuff's there. Hat. I don't know. Do we have hats? I don't know. I still have some in my trunk. I'm not sure about the website.
your selection may vary on the merch.
I don't know. Yeah, check it out. I don't know what's there. And so much more. So please check out the airlinepilotguide.com. Now, being in this modern world we're living in, we are on social media. We like to call it the social medias.
Check us out on the social medias. Head over to twitter.com. We are at APG Crew. That's your short format social media experience. For those of you who are a bit more long-winded, you can head over to facebook.com/airlinepilotguy. Or if pictures are your thing, Instagram, we are at APG Crew. See you on the social medias.
See you on the social medias. We're also on Slack. We have a Slack team. So if you're a Slacker, this is the perfect place for you. Hang on, let's see if...
Jeff, this is my private time.
Oh.
Would you let me finish a poo for
Oh,
once?
sorry. Well, I don't know if Hillel then is ready. Okay, he says he's ready now.
That was quick.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack
It was a
team.
quick poop.
Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and Plain Tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo at airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thank you very much, Hillel. Appreciate that. And let's see, I was going to play something else. Where is it?
I wouldn't go in there for a while, Captain.
Thanks for the advice.
Yeah.
I was gonna
Sensible,
try to-
really.
Don't we still have a Hillel thing in...
Did he wipe his bottom before he came out?
That's like, I don't want to even go there. Oh, here we go. There's that's okay. I just wanted to everybody get a nice little, visual, a picture in their head of Hillel and his wonderful shower cap. And
I still can't tell if it's a loofah or a burrito. that he's
It's a
taking
loofah
into the-
burrito.
Okay.
It looks like a baguette to me.
It does.
I think I'm just hungry.
Pretty sure it's a loofah, but you know, you can be whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
And there you go. So I'll turn that back up. Hotel shampoo. Yes, you've got a whole handful of hotel shampoo.
As you do.
Anyway, there you go. Thanks. Oh, and a major, big, giant thanks to our producer director, Liz, up in Toronto.
Good job
Canada.
this week, Liz. Nicely done.
And I mean, really, honestly,
Always.
couldn't do the show without her. So we do appreciate you. And until next time, keep listening to the show, keep downloading it, reviewing it, and all that good jazz. And we'll see you next week on APG. Wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care, and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
Ta-ta for now.
That was terrible! Horrendous! I'm offended! I'm appalled! So what are we gonna do? Oh, what else? Email it to everybody we know! Good idea.
Indeed.
Your time.
Perfect. Oh, thank you. Yes, I shall have
Yeah. Refill my
a proper job.
Although I need some beer. Someone get
all
me some
day
beer.
IPA. Here, Jeff.
Thank you. Got it.
I just
wait.
dribbled.
Yeah, there you go.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You just dribbled? Well, thank you for sharing that.
That's right.
TMI.
Exactly.
Well, good show.
Yes, very good show.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's bedtime.
Stay tuned for, it's very late for you. How late is it?
Midnight 30. Midnight 23.
Stay tuned for our next show where we'll have another episode audio feedback of Dana's 737 training.
Excellent.
And a lot more, including maybe some feedback from you all. Unless Liz throws it in the trash.
Yes, so
We have no
be
control
polite.
over this
We have no
anymore.
Be
control.
polite to Liz. Yes.
Say nice things to
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we... Oh, you want to talk about Tittles? Showtime?
We've got one, haven't we?
What is he?
Captain Death.
Okay,
Yeah.
Liz is saying Micah has a good one. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Fly.
Fly. Okay, that's a good one.
But we've already got artwork for Captain Death.
We do.
Oh yeah,
We do.
the Grim Reaper of
Yeah.
The Grim Reaper of Aviation.
Aviation. Captain Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Captain Grim.
Reaper.
Captain Reaper. Captain Reaper.
Yeah.
Captain Reaper. Captain, we call him Grim.
Grim.
Okay.
I mean, I can put a few extras on the picture, but
All right.
it's almost done.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, love it. Okay, yeah, and then I'll start working. Yeah, I have some time to work on some of this tonight and try to get it knocked out as soon as I can, so that I can get back into the studying groove for that stuff. The training.
Everyone
stuff.
wants you to use that for Halloween, but we already used it for its purpose on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a Halloween preview. Sorry.
Why is my picture
I don't know.
suddenly?
I don't know.
started going-
It's been doing that intermittently throughout the
I
show.
noticed some people were saying,
Really?
"Is Captain Nick's
You were frozen at one
video
point.
on or something like yeah?"
Huh? Not when I was
Yeah.
looking.
Liz says your video is tired as you are.
Stop
Hello.
recorders.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We do appreciate it, and we'll do another show next week sometime. We're not sure when.
I don't
Maybe.
care.
Or
Maybe.
maybe we'll have the week off. I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see how.
Oh, you
bad
might
I'm
be
doing.
busy. You might be busy.
I might. Yeah. That's.
I might be busy
Oh,
too.
Liz is getting her puppy next week,
Ooh.
Oh, Liz will be very busy.
and your puppy's name is Poppy, right?
Puppy.
Puppy.
I love that. And probably a lot of times poopy. Yeah. All right.
Puppy. Say that 3 times fast.
Oh, you're gonna go poopy, poppy, puppy? Show title. No. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit the.
That'd
end
be
of
a
broadcast
Halloween
button.
show title. I could do a good one with that.
No, it's guys, what, a couple of weeks until Halloween, right?
Yeah, like 3.
Yeah. Okay. Forget about Halloween for now.
Yeah.
All right. See you, everybody.
It'll be
Bye.
Christmas. Christmas next.